Won't you smile for me, Sarah Malaya, my love you be, and Elohim, we come as one. Sun and the moon produce the stars. Won't you smile for me, Sarah Malaya, my love you be, and Elohim, we come as one. Sun and the moon produce the stars. Won't you smile for me, Sarah Malaya, my love you be, and Elohim, we come as one. Sun and the moon produce the stars. When I first seen your smile, I looked into your eyes. Praise Yahweh most high. Under Yisrael skies, white clouds bow brightness. Tanzania's mahogany, a lion king with Zion's queen. Prince Charlandine, Ben Ami, see Sarah as all wall beyond E. Spark love forces, 9 ether, produce 720. My mind wonders as I travel. Your circumference to manifest oneness. You born sons and daughters, we becoming as the future. Judah and Massa, rise power. Sarah birth sires, we build empires. Shine in divine fire. From our love making, we trust off. Destroying Satan, eternal love. From the cradle, beyond the grave. Our passion vibrates as we rise in love. Crushing hate, fuck the fate. We await as I reincarnate from Sarah's navel. She born God in the flesh. Male child sucked from the breast. The taste is the best. As my reflection becomes higher substance. Won't you smile for me, Sarah Malaya, my love you be, in Elohim, we come as one. Sun and the moon produce the stars. Won't you smile for me, Sarah Malaya, my love you be, in Elohim, we come as one. Sun and the moon produce the stars. Now when we met, it was better than sex. I was rocking with finesse as I slid to the side. In your ear, microphone check. I'm that bull from the city of Philly. You said, I'm from Arusha, Baba. Been watching the handsome view. My eyes became stuck looking at you. Chocolate Judah, nice to meet you. I'm Sarah. I work at the salon off at 9. Give me a call, let's vibe, rain on me. Akuna Matata, move me. I see G-O-D and D. I love you, Prince. It's the beginning of prophecy fulfillment. Won't you smile for me, Sarah Malaya, my love you be, in Elohim, we come as one. Sun and the moon produce the stars. Won't you smile for me, Sarah Malaya, my love you be, in
All right. We're back, and that was an original song written by the one and only Prince Charlandine, also known as Mighty Hebrew, for his, how do you say it, Isha? For his wife, one of his wives, absolutely. For all of his wives.
Yeah, but that one was specifically for my third one.
For your third wife, okay. So we're on part 2 of the Merkabah Light, the hidden origins.
Wait, he's expecting a baby. Is the munchkins coming along the way, right?
I know you can come in with that. We got all that love and family. You're back with us. Thank you. Please hit the like button if whatever platform you're on. This kind of sparked some controversy, this presentation, but it's very interesting. So come on into the house, whatever platform you're on. If you're on DJ Genesis, if you're on one of the network channels like the R.I.S.E channel, House of Consciousness, HOK, whatever you're doing, hit the like button and come on in. So let's see here. Let me take this banner down. We got to get right into it because Shabbat Shalom, by the way, to everybody. And hope you're enjoying your weekend. We have Prince Charlandine. Yesterday he was doing his regal. Now we got to show people the Philly style.
Yeah,
let me get you on the big screen. There it is. Yeah, I like that. Okay. So let's go right in. Genesis is going to be working the controls as before. She's hosting. I'm co-hosting. Let's just go right into it, right, guys? Like where we left off, or does that sound good? Because we're kind of trying to keep our time condensed.
Yes, but before then, there's a couple of definitions I would like to pull up. real quick, if possible, if that's okay with the
Sure,
host and the
of
co-host.
course.
Naturally, I'm just chilling on my Shabbat. So, I'm watching, Saturday, I'm watching y'all. So, Brother Lau, this is for you. Okay. This one here is for you. So you came on and you said that I'll use Hebrew words incorrectly, but you really meant to say a Hebrew word. So if I can have the host pull up the word shalom,
Yeah,
which is
here it
going to
is.
give us the shalom and the root. And I would like for the family to read that because I can't see it because
Okay, let me
I
let me
know
put
you're
this up
saying
here.
that, right. I know
Sorry.
you're saying that in peace. So could you read that real quick,
All right, now
Natasha?
this is Genesis. This is the one that he asked for the shalom. It is. Let me enlarge it if I can, so we can see it better. Okay, so shalom is a Hebrew word commonly translated as peace, but its meaning goes far beyond the absence of conflict. It conveys a sense of wholeness, completeness, harmony, and well-being. So that was that.
Absolutely. And if you look at the root, it's shalom, which means to be complete, to be full. So within Hebrew culture, when we would greet somebody, if they're coming to us or leaving from our presence, we wanted their state of being to be complete, whole, with whether if you're talking about themselves, their family, their riches, their goods, everything to be in wholeness as an akkad, and oneness and completeness and wholeness. It didn't just mean in the abstract sense peace, but it was translated into that, understanding when it got translated with the Western mind state. So we got to get out of this mind state thinking, oh, he just made up that word. I see y'all pull something up.
No,
Are
I'm
they
just
saying,
showing the root of it. This is on just a basic Jewish learning, but basic language, myjewishlearning.com. There's the
uh-huh,
word, as you can see it, right?
mm-hmm,
In Hebrew and in English. And then it says right here, the Hebrew word for peace is derived from a root denoting wholeness or completeness, as its
see?
frame of reference through Jewish literature is bound up with the notion of shalamut, perfection. So I just wanted to show that.
See? So the word that he used yesterday, he said it meant completeness, but it actually means perfection. So this is why I'm saying we got to be very careful when we come on these platforms and try to blast somebody. So you see, he using it wrong when anybody can just go to a Google research. We got Hebrew lexicons, all kinds of stuff that we can look up and find out what is being conveyed. I don't sit up here and just make up meanings. Okay. So again, the word shalom means peace. Hallelujah. So now let's get to the controversy.
Did
So
you want to do the asexual one too? Because I
yeah,
pull
just
that one up.
yeah. So pull this up because and shalom to the young comrade Ashe. I have
Yeah,
no
shout out to
personal
Ashay.
quarrel with him. But one of the stick, but before you do that, could you pull up real quick Napal Shaddai, Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 7 and 8? Because I want to lay
Sure.
down the foundation because most in this generation, they don't have a respect for elders. And that's a product of what we know as COINTELPRO, counterintelligence program. And when we look at that, there's 5 key elements of that COINTELPRO. And one of them, which is number 4, was to cause the youth within the community that have disrespect towards the elders. And you see that trickling down. So let's look this up. So you there?
I
Could you
got it.
read?
Yeah,
Okay, could you read that to me real quick?
sure. Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 7 and 8.
Okay.
Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee thy elders, and they will tell thee.
So we have to go to those that came before us. That's why I said to the young brother, I would never just come on a public platform and an elder that put in work in our community and just publicly just say, I want to debate you, and I don't even know that elder, especially if that elder is respected within a framework, so to say. Me being a part of an established community, we have rules of engagement. So when you become 50 and over in the African Hebrew Israelites of Jerusalem, you're not going to see none of our elders in a public setting just debating. So there's rules when you're representing a greater body of people. Like, I just can't do things that common people do because I represent a bigger body. You're not going to see myself, Prince Yosef, and others come on and say, oh, I'll debate, but I have no problem with conversating in a constructive way. But if it's to a point just to boost up an ego, and my question is, okay, if I debate, how does myself and our community benefit? Versus if I debate somebody that got ground footwork like me and they're an elder like myself, and we have a constructive debate, then now both communities are benefiting. But just for me to just debate somebody and I can't get nothing from out of the debate, it'll just be like, oh yeah, he debated somebody we don't even know. So I don't, and it's not to disrespect him. And then I asked the brother, now pull up the word androgyny in the esoteric sense, because we pulled this up yesterday when one brother tried to say the same thing he said, and we pulled this information up, and he said in DJ Genesis live stream that he had to be still corrected, which he was, like he said, because he was looking at it in the sense, in the general sense. I'm not using it in that sense. Could you pull that up in the Pasha dive real quick?
Right. I am pulling. I hit the thing that you sent me.
I send it also. I also send it to DJ Genesis.
I think, yeah, because I'm not getting. Yeah, I'm getting the same thing that I showed you before.
Let's see right here, a traditional esoteric, occult, and mystical philosophy.
Thank you.
And it says asexual or gender neutral state describes a primordial transcendent condition of unity that exists entirely beyond physical sexual polarization.
Come on now. So now when he said, how is that's not a part of the Hebrew Israelite thing. My whole thing is, how do you know what all Hebrew Israelites believe in? Where he fails to understand that there are different Hebrew Israelite schools of thought. The ones that he's used to talking to is those that are on street corners, the One West. You might have brothers like Captain Cesario. Much respect to the Cap. He's doing great work. You know what I mean? He might debate that, but you have other Hebrew communities that don't share the same fundamental ideas as ISUBK and other One West communities. So he's boxing himself in as if the Hebrew culture is a monolith. In this book, The Hidden Wisdom in the Holy Bible from Godfrey Hudson, if you could put me up on the screen so everybody can see the book right here, as y'all can see, right? I want to read something real fast about the word Elohim. On page 12, it says, Elohim, a sevenfold power of Yahweh, the male, female, creative intelligence, or polarities through which the divine Yahweh produces the manifested universe. The Hebrew word Elohim has a singular feminine with a plural masculine. When you look at the Hebrew language is based on masculine and feminine nouns and verbs, things of that nature. Anybody that know anything about Shemitic languages, it is dealing with masculine and feminine. There's no it. This is a fact. If Napal Shaddai can even pull it up real quick and ask the question, is the Hebrew language built on masculine and feminine words? The answer is yes. Our language alone is showing duality. The language structure of Hebrew alone is showing duality. So we got to get out of this mind state, this Western mind state that, oh no, that's on some transgender. No, that don't have nothing to do with that. Now, what I was saying, Now, Westerners, they took that and they might have twisted the truth to produce their own wicked agenda through this transgender idea. But this don't have nothing to do with transgenderism. And furthermore, when you go to all ancient African or Afro-Asiatic societies, if you go to Mesoamerica, I don't care where you go, they always had duality. They always had duality. Elohim is not Yahweh. Elohim is the positive and negative or / male and female polarities or dimensional aspects of the universal consciousness that we call Yahweh, Ein Sof, which is neither male nor female. So when I'm talking androgyny, I'm not talking androgyny in the sense of, you know, this being that has male and female sex anatomy. Come on, man. That's not what I'm talking about. So let's make it clear. And that's been in another book y'all should get that breaks all that down. When I'm talking, is called Conceptualizing the Holy Scriptures from Hebraic Thought and Hermeneutic and Exegesis Study of the Hebrew Canon, Mistranslations and Misrepresentations of the Bible by Sar Eliakim Ben Yehuda. You only can get this in Damona Israel. That's him in the back right there. And he breaks down the whole Better Sheet Code and the duality and the non-duality and everything within our culture. And he's one of the leaders within the community that we are part of at Damona Israel, Northeast Africa. Y'all also can get our book, The Tree of Life, African Hebrew Israelites of Jerusalem Absorption Manual. See, these are the things that cats got to read so they understand that all Hebrews don't believe the same thing. That's our Tree of Life system, our whole Tree of Life book right here. So when people say, yeah, y'all believe this, that, and the third, no, before you can have a discussion with me, you got to get the whole thought, what I'm talking about. Then after that, we can build. So we can start the presentation. But if any of y'all want to say something before then, hallelujah.
I'm fine. I'm ready to go.
Let's get it. Let's get this thing started. This is part 2, the Merkabah light and the hidden origins of Abraham the Hebrew. Let's get it. Afrocentric or Hamitic or African societies believe in the circular history. But I'm going to show you as Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationals what we acknowledge in the next slide. Excuse me. Continue. A circular view. Okay. A circular view sees time as repeating the same or similar events in circular patterns. As you can see, the Euro-Gentile Western world has always viewed history and what is now known as the Bible with lineal lenses. Euro-Gentiles view history as a growth of civilization with a quick glance at the cultures of the Tigris-Euphrates Valley, the Nile Valley, then setting down with the Euro-Gentile Greek city-states, followed by the Roman Empire, the Dark Ages or Middle Ages, then the Renaissance and growth of modern nations, the so-called Enlightenment and Industrial Revolution, and finally accumulating in this society today. Both the spiritual and physical views of the Euro-Gentiles is very, very limited. Next slide, Pastor. It's very limited. People running around saying they know history, but they're looking at it from a Eurocentric lens. Euro-Gentiles ignored the original Edenic nations and cultures of the earth by concentrating on small sections of societies and events which they naively and arrogantly regard as world history. This is what they're doing. I'm not listening to nothing them jokers say. The above Euro-Gentile views and what I'm telling you are biased. The Euro-ethnocentric and they're Euro-ethnocentric to the core, reality speaking,
human spirituality, cultures, and history are too complex to fix into a simple linear pattern. I just destroyed that. So anybody talking about, oh man, you need a PhD and who your primary source is and what colleges you've been to, this, that, the third, it's all bullshit. Okay? Now the second diagram, which is circular, views spirituality, culture, and history are of several kinds, including the circular and spiral patterns. Now let's go to this said German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. This is what he states. Go to the next slide. Since the universe has in it an infinite, even though very large number of you going the wrong way. Number of, keep going. Basic particles, and since there is a finite, although even larger, numbers of possible arrangements of those particles, it must happen in the course of infinite time that the same particles eventually repeat the same arrangements they have had before. When that happens, the universe is produced exactly in every detail as it was at some prior time. This German philosopher called this view of history eternal return, or the recurrence. A purely circular view of spirituality, cultures, and history, that everything repeats itself exactly, that we can never correct our mistakes, is also off and goes against Deuteronomy chapter 28, 1-14, and Ezekiel 18. With this understanding, we, the staff at the Mighty Hebrew University, come on, go to the next slide. We, the staff at the Mighty Hebrew University, teach that the original Edenic spiritualities, cultures, and histories are circular or secular, as seen in the third diagram. You're about to show that in a second. It moves on a spiral pattern, making circles, but also moving forward along the line so that patterns, but not particulars, are repeated. They, the nations of the earth, say that history repeats itself. We, the Hebrew Israelite sovereign nation, say it is spiritual reality behind historical events that are repeating itself. Ecclesiastes chapter 12:12, along with Ecclesiastes chapter 3, is now made much clearer. It is the spiritual realm from the subjective universal mind. Mental is never destroyed. Next slide. Next slide. So now you see the pattern in which our forefathers and foremothers acknowledged. You see the line in the spiraling. You see that? So the first two diagrams we don't acknowledge. This third diagram, this is what we acknowledge here at the Mighty Hebrew University. Next slide. So Yahweh, or Yahweh, that the objective realm of history repeats itself in general ways, but it also purposefully moving toward a goal from which in our case is to break the curses of Leviticus chapter 26 and Deuteronomy chapter 28 and make an exodus back home to Israel, northeastern Africa, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, Israel, and Palestine. All one make up the land of Israel. All things exist in circular patterns, and that includes everything, which in turn repeats their experience with variation, okay? And thereby they progress. So the third diagram that we just shown can be understood as wholeness, order, and purpose. Next slide. It deals with, respectively, the Most High, Yahweh, as a henotheistic reality and subject, the one absolute eternal sovereign, the many, Allahayim, Elohim, the powers, the multiverse that periodically manifests from the one, Yahweh, and the relationship between the Father, the one, Yahweh, and the Son, the many, Yasha'Allah, Yisrael as a nation. Exodus chapter 4, verse 22 and 23. This is also made clear within the Shield of David, which has three main lines of patterning. A vertical that represents the heavens, the mind, and a horizontal that represents the earth, the manifestation and substance from the mind. Okay? And oblique, that represents the Hebrew nation of the 12 tribes of the children of Yasha'Allah, Yisrael. Go to the next slide, by son. Yasha'Allah, between the heavens and the earth. The heavens, earth, and the Hebrew Israelite sovereign nation upholding Torah constitution, or the absolute, the multiverse, and the generative life must now be realized on another level of an academia level. On an academia level, the secret societies on this earth know that the original blacks or Hebrews, who are also labeled as black, original Atlantean Shemites, and their records from the east, the Indus Valley from Iraq, Paria, had colonized the region Shinar or Sumer or Mesopotamia, and were the progenitors of the indigenous population. Next slide. Next slide. Mesopotamia civilization, 9,564 BCE. After the fourth and last destruction of Atlantis was emanated from out of the Indus Valley civilization, which can be traced back as far as 1 million BCE. Emanated from the ancient Atlantean civilization, which was created by a sub-race of black Lemurians called Romalians. 5 million years ago, the Atlantean civilization came in the later, the Cretaceous, or 10 to 12 million years ago. It attained its peak in the Eocene of the Terrania. You know, they got all these different words, and was largely destroyed in the Macene. These are different times in history that scientists call, give these names of different points in history. Okay, so now I'm back to what I'm saying. The largely destroyed, the Romalias sprung up roughly at latitude 7 north and longitude 5 west, which lie at the Ghana coast today in West Africa. So let me explain this a little bit for y'all. Okay, you had what was known as, matter of fact, Bassem, that last map that I just sent you. Remember the very last map I sent you today? Are you there?
Yeah, I know what map you're talking about.
Okay, don't forget where you left off at. Put that map up real quick, because I need to explain something so the family will be able to understand. But I need to see that colorful map.
Yeah, I'm going to it right now.
Show that Rabbah. Right there. Okay. So you see Kumari Kadim, or Lemuria, the continent which sunk. Now, if y'all notice carefully, y'all see Lemuria. Then you see Australia, right? Then you see Madagascar connected to Lemuria, right? You see that. Then you see what happened. You got 34 million BCE. This is where we dwelt, okay? Then 16.5 million BCE is when the separation of sexes. but there was a lot of volcanic eruption. Now, notice that you see in all these areas, you see southern India, you see India was even connected to Lemuria. You see Madagascar was connected to Lemuria as well. You see Mount Meru. You see that right there. You see Australia. Okay. You see all these areas. Okay. At this time, quiet as it's kept, we talking 34 million BCE, Africa was actually underwater. Africa wasn't even in existence at the time as we know today. So what's happening, all these volcanic eruptions are taking place. And when they took place in the total destruction of what we know as Lemuria, roughly between 12 to 10,000 BCE, these Lemurians, they start migrating and colonizing Australia, other parts of India, and then later Africa. So what you see when you talk about the Atlanteans of 5 million BCE coming from out of the Romalias were actually a sub-root race, or the sixth sub-root race of the Lemurians. And they formed the Atlanteans. So the Atlanteans were developed and birthed actually in what we would consider today Western Africa. Even if you go on page 105 or 105 in Babylon to Timbuktu, I think it's between pages 104 to 107, one of them. And you will see where Professor Rudolph R. Yehuda Windsor is making a reference to Herodotus or Herodotus, and one of the tribes that were known in northern Africa to stretch all the way to the Atlantic Ocean were in fact the Atlanteans. And they developed in 5 million to 4.5 million BCE. They wind up migrating into South America, Central America, and start borning these Toltecian civilizations and dynasties. And in turn, we're talking roughly, let's say 210,000 BCE. Now they're migrating into Egypt and creating initiation centers, because you have other Lemurian aboriginals that lived in Kemet, as well as Ethiopia or Kush, even though Kemet and Kush wasn't the original names at the time. Kush at one time, Ethiopia, was originally actually an island. And because all that stuff was underwater. So as land started flourishing, it started to create this soil land. And you had Upper Egypt that was dominated by the Lemurians coming from either, as you can see, southern India, as you see the map, and Lower Egypt or Kemet, and some people call that area Manuro, which is Maioo. Lower Egypt was colonized by the Atlanteans that came from out of Central America. We talking 210,000 BCE. So now go back to where you left off at, Bassem.
Okay. I believe I know exactly what slide it is, but I might need you to confirm that for me.
Okay, no problem. How's it looking in the back?
You can stop for a minute. Yes. Are you there, Sister Napa? Is Sister Napa there? DJ Genesis?
Napa? What's up? We here.
Okay. So yeah,
I'm here, you guys. I'm here. I'm listening.
Okay. So just give a little rough take. So you see these wormholes after the destruction of what is known as Tamano Du, or what they now call the Lemurian Empire, roughly around 12 million BCE. During this volcanic eruption, a lot of them migrated from the Sumatra/Tanzania area, and they start pushing further into what we know as West Africa. All this area, West Africa, Kemet, all that is known in the records as Grubansi. And these people that was known as the Romalos form what we know today as the Patala Empire, or what you call the Atlantean Empire. and they wound up migrating some of them into what we call Central America, and that became known as the City of the Golden Gates. Those that created what you know as Upper Kemet today, during pre-dynastic Kemet, they were known as the Nagas. The Nagas came from out of the Indian subcontinent. When you see the cobra that the Nasut wear in ancient Kemet, they was doing that as a reminder that they were descent from the Nagas that came from out of the Indian subcontinent. Then you had a group known as the Nahals that came from out of the City of the Golden Gates in the South and Central America region, and they had what was known as Northern Kemet. You would know a man by the name of Menethor or Menatho that speaks about pre-dynastic Kemet, and you had these quote unquote these pre-dynastic wars, and you had also the Scorpion Kings, and then you also had dynastic Kemet. Now you're getting later on Menes the First, which you know as Narmer, that unify Upper and Lower Kemet, but that's another story, another topic. So when we speak over here about the Atlantean root epic, we're not speaking about this mythical place that happened some thousands of years ago, but we're talking about people existing on the planet doing what is known as antediluvian history. So notice how I'm laying the foundation. I started with us being Elohim embodied in human form. I broke all that down yesterday, going into our antediluvian history. Because remember, originally we had a body known as the Ha'adam Chakma that was embodied in what is known as Merkabah light. That Merkabah light was asexual force field, so to say, neither masculine nor feminine, but had the masculine and feminine polarities. Them polarities in turn would eventually form into separate physical entities known as Zakar wa Nikiva. This is what you're seeing in the Bereshit, chapter 2, verse 7. So now you're seeing that, and in turn, now we're in our antediluvian history, coming into the post-diluvian history where we at today. But if y'all got anything to say, please say, and we can continue on. So I just wanted to add emphasis to that history right there, our antediluvian history.
So Maharwin is saying the ancient Egyptians never say they come from Nagas from India, zero text. Where is that coming from?
Well, you do have certain records like the record of Thoth, and you do see that the Egyptians did say, that they powers came from the west. Now, I believe it was during the Middle Kingdom of ancient Kemet that what you know as, the underworld, it was a literal place which later became a mythical place. You see what I'm saying? So there are records of them having that connection to those of the Atlantean root epic. That's a fact. You know what I'm saying? Even when you look at the Nagas history.
Your book deserves the same treatment. Best.
I'm sorry. I am so sorry about that. Sorry, guys.
Is that like the Dead Sea Scrolls or like the?
No, you can go into the Laws of Menu. You can go to the Ramayanian records. There are records in the Indus Valley that break down that they have parts of Upper Kemet, and they was known as the Nagas, and we know through pre-dynastic Kemet that the Nagas played a major role of that. You know what I mean?
So would you say that pretty much what happened is that there were some books that were actually in India that we don't have that one, because we were talking about Kemet, we think that everything has. So there's books in India that actually are connecting to Kemet, but that we don't have those books necessarily with the Dead Sea Scrolls and this, that, the other. They have those separate books that are in India. Okay.
Absolutely. You can also even read this stuff in the stanza of Zion. Let me say this to people, because a lot of people, they talk about theosophy and things like that. It's the mind and whoop, wop, wop, wop. But they don't never give you no real breakdowns on that. When you read the book, The Secret Doctrine, I'm hearing feedback. Okay. When you read The Secret Doctrine, volume 1 and 2, right? They speak about Madam H.P. Blavatsky, which I don't agree with everything that woman say. But the problem with people when they talk as if she wrote the stanza of Zion. She ain't write that. She didn't write that. She only wrote commentary on it. When you look, you'll see the stanza of Zion records, and then you see the commentary. I don't care about the commentary. I care about what's in the records. And in the records, it shows how ancient Kemet developed. Another good book to read on that topic, what we talking about, tell the brother to get a book called Unveiling Genesis, Mystery of the Root Races and Cycles. This is a banging book. And it actually takes ancient Kemet back to 1.2 million BCE. And it gets, as a matter of fact, if you can look it up, good brother, you can go on page, let me get it real quick for you, so you can have that on cap, so you can look that up for yourself on ancient Kemet. Oh, here it is. You can start at page 442, and it goes into the ancient Kemetic history going all the way back 1,200,000 years ago. Here it is right here. You know,
what's the name of that book again? Unveiling Genesis?
It's called Unveiling Genesis, Mystery of the Root Races and Cycles. There it is right there. And it takes Kemet back further than what we know. And they use the they use the Kemetic king list at ABYDOS. And they break down that whole joint that Manetho was talking about, and it takes ancient Kemet back 1,200,000 years ago. So, but it wasn't called Kemet at that time. But that's an excellent book to read for that brother that really want to explore just, if he want to get outside the box versus just dealing with an academic lineal consensus. Remember, I already broke down the lineal understanding is a Western idea. But our history is so deeper and so beyond the conceptual of a lineal understanding that we can't just view history in the standpoint of that. They created that lineal idea to control the element. The element was all the artifacts, all the information, and whoever controls numbers, they control time and space. So they'll put a number and say, this is hypothetic 3,000 BCE. This is 2.5 million BCE, et cetera, et cetera. But the reality is the original man, we don't have no beginning in that sense. So when they talk about Kemet and all these different societies.
Oh my God, they do. I hate them. Oh, sorry, guys. I'm listening. I was talking about the delivery guy. My bad. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm listening.
I'm just tripping off the situation.
No, I'm listening to you. I love it. I just was talking about
I'm saying you gotta definitely get this. Another book I think the good brother should read by the late Ben Ami. It's called The Resurrection from Judgment to Post-Judgment. And it goes into institutions of higher learning. I just want to read something from out of this real quick, and then y'all can get back to the presentation, because I find it very interesting, because it seems as though this is how most people view, these discussions. They're boxed in what I call academic emboxment. You remember I said that long time ago, Sister Nepal.
Yeah, you said it when I talked to you in Chicago, and you said it yesterday. It's right. The box.
So I want to read page 16 to y'all real quick. The chapter is called The Breath of Life by the late Ben Ami. He says the buildings are immaculate, campuses are extensive. The equipment is state of the art. Instructors are plentiful and salaries are rewarding. These are the lures to attract innocent souls to enter within her walls. They are called institutions of higher learning. They are the heartbeat and the pulse of the Euro-Gentile anti-Yahweh social system. Institution, one, an elementary principle recognized as authoritative. So that's the mind state that they put us in, that they are the authority. They are the authority of the world view. So that's why you always hear, well, what does the consensus say? What do they say? So they already got you in a mind state of a slave that you can't think for yourself and go outside the box as an independent researcher and challenge these people. These are the same people that enslaved us took everything from us, and now we're going back to them same people to get an understanding of who we be when we existed on this plane of reality before they was even in existence. 2, a collection of such principles, a significant practice, behavior, relationship in the society or culture. 2, institutionalized, to make or give the character of an institution. Institutions have character. Ben Ami says, after reading the above definitions, it becomes evident that the structures are secondary, while the actual institutions are those deemed qualified to graduate by the academic overseers. A hidden process far beyond the essential course being offered is in progress in every Euro-Gentile institution, and the ramifications had left both people and environmental infected with deadly deception. And that's a fact. So this is why when people like Nepal, Shaddai speak, DJ Genesis, myself, and others that might have an oppositional view to what has been looked at as academically correct, it becomes a pushback. But why don't we challenge these people? Why, they try to tell us about things going on in Africa. I'm over here in Africa, and most of the things that I see on the ground as a social anthropologist, I don't even see what the academic consensus is saying. Some cases, yes, but many cases it's inaccurate when you come on the ground. That's why you had scholars that came like Dr. John Henrik Clark, Dr. Yosef A.A. Ben Yokanaya, Jacob Corregas, Professor James Smalls, Infodizi, Baba, the late Baba Hayru, so many others to challenge and put Kemet back in its proper place. You also had scholars like the late Prince Asiel, the late Ben Ami, the late Prince Dr. Shalia bin Yahuda, the late Elder Ishkael, the late Sar Levi bin Yisrael, and others that rose, Prince Khazaridar bin Yisrael, those that come to put Israel back on the map as being Northeastern Africa. Brother Ashe, you said that Israel is not Northeastern Africa. That is not true. I can take you right now to Israel, which I've been many times to Israel. And when you go to Israel, it tells you in Hebrew, when you go, they have a place where you can stand right on the African tectonic plate. And it tells you that Israel is Northeastern Africa. They separated it, which was a 10-year period, building the Suez Canal from 1859 to 1869. Originally, that was all landlocked. That was Northeastern Africa. And they call it the Middle East. That's a geopolitical term. That has nothing to do with the reality. If there's a Middle East, where's the Middle North, the Middle South, the Middle West? Like, we got to stop. That's what I'm saying. We're regurgitating things that our enemies are using to control that region, to control it. We've seen Dr. John Henrik Clark say that, after the destruction of the Israelite temples in 70 AD, this is out of Dr. John Henrik Clark's mouth, the Israelites migrated into West Africa, deep into the body of Africa. We see Dr. Yosef A.A. Ben Yokanai saying, we see Sheikh Anti-Droop saying it in pre-colonial Black Africa. We see these scholars saying these things. So for us to sit back and have these arguments and say, oh, none of this stuff is true, I'm on the ground and I'm seeing these things in Africa. So what I'm saying, if we're going to have these type of discussions, let's be fair. Let's stop acting like the Hebrew culture is a monolith when it's not. I keep showing and proving that it's not. You have Hebrews that view things differently. Before anybody can have a discussion with me, they have to know what I acknowledge. And then from there, they can have a discussion. Don't come with the preconceived questions that you ask the average Israelite that you see on YouTube or on the street corner and ask me about things. Did Eve eat an apple? Was there a talking snake? I'm going to tell you all that is symbolic. That's symbolic. There's no apple. There's no literal fruit. There's no literal snake. Adam and Eve in the general sense didn't exist. So we gotta get into the mind state of a Hebrew that's adapt in a certain type of consciousness before we start talking about things in the literal sense that I don't acknowledge. But we can continue on. If y'all got anything to say, before it start, hallelujah.
No, let's get back on it so we can get a great portion of it out. You're doing great. And then once we hit that 2 hour mark, we'll see where, what you want to do from there. We might have to do a part 3 or we might get through it. So yes, please, let's continue with your presentation. Thank you.
People are listening.
Brother, they're enjoying it, and I know they're taking notes. 1 second.
Okay.
Stop.
We were right
Stop
about
for a
to get it.
second. Stop. The brother said we skipping Antarctica. No, as you continue to read Antarctica, when they talk about, these antediluvian civilizations, Antarctica through the esoteric records is known as Hyperborea. We're getting to all that as we continue to develop. And then you spoke about the Dravidian language is related to the so-called Bantu. That is absolutely a fact. And I'm glad that you're saying these things because that is my direct research. And I get into Abraham. When we get to the part of Abraham, you're going to see that I teach that the original Hebrews came from out of an Indian subcontinent set known as the Yadavas. You know what I mean? You're gonna see this, and that the Yadava language is directly connected to the Bantu. We're gonna get into that. I'm glad that you putting these things on record. And then you say something. You said a bunch of things, but these are the things that actually came out. And then you said something about they were multiple. But they skipped over Atlantis. Kemet is older than what they claim. And Kemet is older. And you said, but they skipping over Atlantis. And you're not going to find the word Atlantis, right? But you will find the word Patala. That is the name of ancient Atlantis. It's really Patala, okay? Or some people pronounce it Atala. And we're definitely getting to that as we continue on. And another brother said, somebody said, you're in Africa. What do you know about Adam's calendar? Yeah, yup. I'm hip to that. One day I will talk about Adam's calendar and stuff like that. That's a great question. Yeah, right now I'm in Tanzania, East Africa. Somebody said, yo, I love you, Mighty Hebrew. Yeah, I love y'all too, man. Absolutely. Somebody said they skipping over Antarctica. It wasn't called Kemet at the time, nor even something pre-dynastic Egypt, y'all. The oldest word that I found, my brother, is known as Grabansi. We're getting to that later. Let's look at the texts and oral traditions of Africa and India. Facts. Y'all, that's an absolute fact. Hallelujah. We can continue on. I just wanted, to get the listening audience involved. I just wanted to read a few things from them, but you can continue.
Into your sources, and then I believe it was right.
Hold on. No, you going too far. Go back.
I did.
Yeah. Okay, keep going. Stop there. Let me see if this is it. Next one. Let me see. No, go back one. Go back one.
We were just about to get
right there.
Yeah, we were just about to get in Lemuria. That's why you wanted the map. Take it away.
Cain. Okay, so now we see the Mesopotamian civilization. I already said that 1 million BCE. Okay, going into the Indus Valley, which was emanated from the ancient Atlantean civilization, which was created by a sub-race of Black Lemurians called the Romalians 5 million years ago. The Atlantean civilization came, I read that, came later, 10 to 12 million years ago. It attained this peak. I read all that. Okay. Ghana. Okay. It extended westward and eastward. Okay. And to western parts of Europe. Okay. Oh, no. Let me go here. West Africa. Okay. When Atlantis was a supercontinent that extended westward to America as well as eastward to the western parts of Europe and portions. Next slide. In portions of Africa, Israel was the center between Lemuria and Atlantis, which was emanated from ancient Lemuria. Civilization at its core 18.5 million years ago during the Jurassic and Cretaceous of the Mesozoic, age of the reptiles, or as the Indus Valley sages would call the Vis Vita Menu, man, or as the Hebrew Israelites would say, the sixth emanated cycle of the formative process of Genesis 1:26 and 27. Ancient Lemuria was a continent in the regions covered today by the Indian Ocean, which slowly condensed out of the watery element between what is now Australia, some parts of Africa, Madagascar, to Ceylon, and Sumatra. This ancient continent also reached, go to the next slide, as far as India and Asia Minor, which was emanated from Hyperborea, which is said to have originated in the late Carboniferous or the Premium at the end of the late Jurassic or early Jurassic of the Mesolithic or the second era, some 35 million years ago. These beings had loose, not half human, watery bodies, and to have inhabited a continent far to the north of our globe at a time when the land masses were completely different from those in our era, meaning that everything was tropical. The whole planet at this time was tropical, okay? Which were all emanated from the imperishable set-apart land. Some give this date to be 130 to 150 million years ago in the Saurian or Devonian period, or possibly in the Carboniferous period of the Paleozoic era, and ended in the Permian era or period. Ancient Indus Valley records like the Zion, which traces, go to the next one, our spiritual cosmos back 311 trillion 40 billion years ago, along with the first chapters of Genesis in the Tanakh, also traces back 311 trillion 40 billion years ago by the Hebrew Israelites that dwell in India today. Primary sources you have: one, a dictionary of the sacred languages of all scriptures and myths. You can go to Gaskell, G.V., George Allen, and Unwin. Two, Hidden Wisdom in the Holy Bible, Volume 1 and 2 by Godfrey Hudson. Three, Hebrew Tongue Restored. That's by the Hebrew Tongue Restored by D. Avet Filbar. He was from France. Go to the next slide. Go to the next slide. Four, the Book of God, an encyclopedia of proof that the black man is God by true Islam. Five, the Hebrew English Tanakh. Six, Legends of Atlantis and Lemuria by W. Scott Elliott. Seven, The Secret Doctrine in Israel, White A.E. Now, I already showed that you had, and I'm giving a note, the first diagram was linear in nature, which is a Euro-Gentile understanding. The second diagram was just circular in nature. That's a Hermetic African in most. Next slide. And most Shemitic Asiatic understanding. And the third diagram was linear and circular as one in nature. An Edenic or Edenian, Black, Lemurian, quote unquote, Black Atlantean, Black Aryan or noble, Indus Valley, Tigris, Euphrates Valley, Hebrew Israelite, sovereign nationalistic understanding. Note to the reader, when the word Aryan is being used or mentioned in this presentation here on Global Media, we at the Mighty Hebrew University, we're not talking or speaking of the Euro-Gentile nations, but referring to a noble state of existence in Sanskrit language of India. Please look up the word Aryan, page 70, and Sanskrit, page 1102 in the Merriam-Webster's Collegiate Dictionary. Next slide. A chronology of nations and Ha'adam, before Ha'adam. Watch this. Go ahead. So as you can see, this is a timeline of the root races and the sub-root races, and it's telling you how many millions of years. So one might say, you saying it's not before Adam, but it's before Adam. Now, what do I mean by that? In the original understanding of Adam, this is the Adam. But because of our Christianization, we think Adam came into existence 6,000 years ago. So this is what I'm seeing before Adam. So that's the timeline right there, the root races and the sub-root races with the dates and everything. Go to the next slide. Now, you see Mu and Atlantis continents, okay? Now, we're talking 90 million years ago, okay? And what it's doing, notice one. Look how, the reason why it's in blue, you want to know why? Because it's underwater. Notice that it says Africa submerged, okay? So the only thing that wasn't submerged at this time, 90 million years ago, is what we would consider, quote unquote, the Middle East, which is really Northeastern Africa, okay? Then you see two, right? You see Madagascar, correct? And then you see three, Yucatan and all that, which is South America. Then you see four, the Indian Ocean. Five, modern Malaysia. Six, Avalonia and Batavia. And then it says Atlantis and Mu on now sinking continents. Atlantis was.
DJ Genesis, somebody said to turn the quality up on that video. I think, can you turn it up a little bit?
How do I turn it up?
I mean, I can hear it good. And I just went to.
What do you mean, turn the sound up?
Yeah, turn the sound up.
No, the quality, there's the quality.
The sound is up as high as it goes.
Oh, okay.
It sounds clear to me. I mean, maybe
it sounds clear. Yeah,
I went the quality, meaning like the actual quality.
Oh, the video, not the audio. What? Okay.
Well, that's about as good as you get.
I mean, the video is clear as day.
Oh, I get what they're saying because it's kind of like I can see the font is a bit blurry, but
okay, I see what they're saying.
It's as high as it's gonna go. I don't know.
Can you enlarge it or no?
They just said okay. That's the best. It's fine.
Oh yeah, it's a video.
Yeah, they said it's fine. It's fine if that's the best it can do.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
Or Avalonia in the Atlantic, and Mu was east of Africa in the Indian Ocean. Much of Africa was beneath water, and India was parallel with Madagascar. Indonesia was not yet emerged when an asteroid struck Yucatan 66 million years ago and transformed shattered force to an amphipod in the Indian Ocean between Madagascar and Indonesia. The amphipod drifted into Indonesia and fractured in 2012. Go to the next slide. Now you see the rising continents, okay? You seeing them. You seeing the rising continents that we see. Next slide. Now, this was our globe before the rising of continents. Look how beautiful that is. We are earthbound, family. All this, yeah, we from this continent was first, that continent. No, we was on this plane of existence when the earth was like that. Go to the next slide. As you can see, the continent drift before and after.
Facts. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate everybody for sticking it through with us. We still got more to go. This is the first half of it. We got another portion that we're gonna play, but before we do that, gonna drop one of the Mighty Hebrew song on the channel, and then we'll be right back.
Okay, let's Genesis. We love the song, but I do want to get back to move forward to the information, if that's okay, Mighty Hebrew. Because this is good.
Do your thing, the pop. Yo, do your thing, yo. The cop, listen, the cop, they loving it. They loving it. Yeah.
Genesis, you love it?
That because we already gonna play a song last.
How you doing over there, Genesis? What you think? You're good? Thanks for working the controls.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just doing the job, you know.
Now, oh shucks, we're about to get into Abraham now. Here it comes.
Yeah, that's what they want. All right.
This is what they've been waiting for.
Muting out.
But they want. I had to go back where I left off at. No, okay.
Genesis 1:01.
Oh, you was right.
Y'all always hear me say Hebrew anthropogenesis or Hebrew cosmogenesis 1:01, because a lot of people don't really know the basic foundation of, you know, what they would consider metaphysical science, or, you know, dealing with archaeology and anthropology, paleontology. They don't really know these things. So we're going to get into a brief synopsis into the study of the Abrahamic cycle in the history of the Hebrew Israelite sovereign nation. This is part one, the Lemurian, Atlantean, Chaldean, Hebraic wisdom of the royal seal. It is said by our original forefathers or Hebrew forefathers such as Terach, Abram, or Abraham, when you go to Genesis chapter 17, verse 5 and 2166 or 2166 BCE, Lot and others not named were under the Lemurian Atlantean tradition by way of Shemitic Hebrew Chaldean. Go to the next slide. Okay, culture and spiritual thought. Now, my sources, you can go to the Philosophy of History and Traditions by Moeller, Hewitz, translation page 285. You can also go to Cabiria, Anton. You can go to Plato, Herodotus, Book 1, Babylonian Magic and Sorcery. L.W. King, page 117, Assyrian Religion. T.G. Pincus, page 100. See also Patrice Sephotius, if I'm pronouncing the name right, and Pindar. Our Hebrew ancestors before our forefather Abraham came into being from ascendant to descendant, created high developed centers of spiritual and cultural life throughout the valleys of Indus, Kush, or Kawash, Mesopotamia, and Mesoamerica. When the continents were still one, you can go to the next slide, the sons of Israel and the daughters of Zion to come would maintain and elevate these 311 trillion, 40 billion year old teachings within every civilization that they will come in contact with. Even unto this 6,000 plus year dispensation of time, the children of Elam calls this the age of the Aryan, or the noble. Now, you always hear people running around, they say, oh, Aryan this, Aryan that, you know, they were Europeans, they were this, they were that. See, and the problem is this. When you hear people talk like this, these are people that really don't know what they're talking about. You can stop, you go on up, keep going. So, you know, you hear people, they run around, they say all this, they say all that, but they don't know what they're talking about. So what I want to do before I continue on, I'm gonna pull up from out of my book, Our True History of the Diaspora and Our Freedom, so the people can actually get a better understanding of what Aryan is. Because, you know, you hear all these people running around here saying that Aryans are Europeans, when Aryan only means nobleman. It was a caste system that came from out of India that was defining actually quote unquote black melanated people that was of a high caste status. It did not have nothing to do with Europeans. Europeans later on took that term and used it for themselves to control the masses of people. Okay, it didn't have anything to do with what people are talking about. So right now, I'm pulling up my book, Our True History, the Diaspora, and Our Freedom. So they called this the age of the Aryan. And notice how I spoke about even into this 6,000 years, even into this 6,000 year plus, there's 6,000 plus year dispensation.
Wait. Before we go further, you have a book out? You have a book that this is from, that you're reading from?
I got books. DJ Genesis don't even know. I got 5
No, I'm
books.
saying I need to know what the title of the book is so I can put it up there.
I said it. I said it. It's called Our History, the Diaspora or the Diaspora and Our Freedom. That came out 2017. That's where I'm about to quote from it in a second.
Okay, so yeah, because every time you say a book, I give the actual book. That's why.
Yep, right. That's my book. I wrote that.
Of time. See, our people, when they read the scripture, they are defining scripture based on a quarter of a cycle. Within Hebrew cosmogenesis, we acknowledge every 24 to 25,000 years, we would renew our cycle. Each quarter of a cycle is 6,000 years. So in their mind state, when they're talking about 6,000 years, they're only talking about the past 6,000 years within a certain dispensation. They are not talking about the actualization of creation or properly emanation and formation itself. Okay? We are talking about a certain state of consciousness within historical reality. Okay? This is the mind state that we must come under. So now, we're going to talk briefly about this Aryan invasion model theory, because this is what we hear all the time. But there is updated factual evidence, family, and also new primary sources that proves there was never a so-called white Aryan invasion that took place in ancient Israel, in ancient India, 1500 BCE to 1200 BCE, but was a creation by a late 19th century linguist and Euro-Gentile racist named Max Muller. That's Bill. Y'all sit around here and y'all quoting Europeans that told y'all this stuff. So the whole conscious community, whoever y'all are, it don't matter if you're the Black conscious community or Hebrew Israelites that have been running around saying that Aryans invaded India and they were Europeans, y'all are inaccurate. Max Muller was the one that equipped German linguists such as Friedrich von Schlockengel and Franz Blob, to name a few, with linguistic cultural hijacking, meaning stealing the identity of the original Black Aryans, combined with racial overtones, so to steal the rich heritage of ancient Indo-Kush. There was never an Aryan invasion. German racist anthropologists were said to have described the typical so-called Aryan as blonde hair with blue eye with a robust physique, the Nordic type found in the Scandinavian countries rather than the Bulgarian where Nazism originated at. The racist notation or notion of Aryan represents a complete perversion of the original meaning of the word and is a damn lie. Yeah, the mighty Hebrew, I said it. And I can back up what I'm saying. The word Aryan stems from the Sanskrit language and is an anglicized version of Aryan, which means noble or cultured. This is how the Harapparians or the ancient Hebrews of India and other originals of the land of India described themselves as they transmitted the sacred heritage of the Vedas, describing themselves. So in reality, the Sanskrit word Aryan did not refer to a particular so-called race or language. It described the moral, righteous quality and spiritual disposition, that of nobility, thus uniting those of like minds into it was like a kinship, okay, with one to another. Now, if you go into the Vedic text, Menu, which birthed the word man, which means to think. The progenitor of humanity within the Bereshit cycle is said to have given the area between the Himalayas and the Vidarian mountains the name Ernyan Vatar, meaning abode of the noble flock. Later in history, the word Ernyan took on a wicked meaning. So now it's time to shake a few heads by boldly making the statement. As Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationals that uphold Torah, constitution, and righteousness, it is clear that we are in fact the real Aryans, noble and cultured and centered. Yah said it. I'm an Aryan because I understand what it really means, not what they've been telling you. It only means noble. The original true Aryans were the Black Haraparians, or Hebrews that were from the Haraparian civilization that came from out of India. It was a caste system based on nobility, not race. Our original culture was the heart of the national life and spirituality of our people. Go into the profound book, The Solar System by A.E. Powell, and lecture notes of the School of the Wisdom, Volume 1 by Godfrey Hudson. We see that the ancient records of the Tanakh and the stanza of the Zion of the Indus Valley, go to the next slide, show that the original Atlantean Hebrew Shemites of Haraparia in India had colonized the region of Mesopotamia known as Shinar or Sumer in Genesis 11, and were the progenitors of the indigenous population. It was Ha'adam, who is known as Menu or man in Indus Valley records of the Shemitic Atlantean Hebrews that chose Yasha'Allah or Yisrael through Yahweh to transmit the original Edenic Ha'adamic Torah constitution to the nations of the earth. Our ancestors had their own spiritual and cultural centers of thought. The original population of our nation had a henotheistic understanding of our original spirituality, but later in history, most of our forefathers and foremothers became guilty of anthropomorphism, animism, and superstition. Go to the next slide. That's the problem that's going on with Israel right now. That's the problem with Israel right now. They're so religious in nature, you know, that they're anthropomorphizing the rootless one. I am Sof Yahweh. That's what they're doing. And what happens, they become idol worshipers because Yahweh, whether if you Torah Center or Messianic, becomes an idea within the finite mind of the participant that's orchestrating this idolistic behavior. This is the problem that is going on within ancient Israel. They cannot elevate consciously to build a self-sustaining government because they are idol worshipers. You think that you're worshiping your impurity, but your ideas is limiting you to expand consciously to build within the cosmic realm that we are in called planet Earth. This is why we can't build as a nation, because we are idol worshipers. You think you're not an idol worshiper, but you are based on your thoughts, actions, and attitudes. We must come from out of the mental side and mental death that we are in. We must understand and realize what role Israel is to play. Okay? Now, you see a map right here. This is where we was at before we went into Mesopotamia. You see right there, right? You got now ancient Egypt. Some people want to call it Kemet, whatever name they want to call it. Then you see the Tigris and Euphrates, ancient Mesopotamia and Babylonia. Then you see the Indus, Ganges, Harapparia, and Vedic civilization. That's where we from. That's where the so-called black man is from that's from America. I know it's hard to imagine that because of our connotation. Not connotation, but what we've been thinking in our minds, where we came from, because of what archaeologists, paleontologists, and everybody else told us to look strictly into Southern Africa. That's where we came from. Go to the next slide. Mm-hmm.
I have a question. So do you think that this is where they got the Asiatic black man from?
That's another story, but absolutely. I'm one that teach that elements of, you know, the Nation of Islam come from Ada Buddhic tradition. And I acknowledge that Master Farad Muhammad came from a place known as Mecca, but not Mecca in Saudi Arabia, but the Mecca in the Indus Valley. Let me share something with y'all. Put me on camera real quick. Put me on camera. Let me say something, y'all. After the last flood, which was 9,564 BC, because there were 4 floods altogether within our, you know, post-Diluvian records. You know, the first flood was 800,000 BCE. And that flood was the first flood of Patala, which we know as Atlantis. The second flood was 4,000. The second flood was 400,000 BCE, right? And then your second flood, your third flood. No, I'm tripping. The first flood was 800,000 BCE. The next one was 200,000 BCE. The third one was 80,000 BCE. And it split Patala into 2. The names were known as Ruta and Ditaya, or Datia. And the last one, the Ruta was destroyed, 80,000, which left Datia. Datia was known as what you will call Poseidonis or Poseidonus, which you hear Plato talking about. When Plato talks about Patala or Atlantis, he's not talking about Atlantis in its prime. He's talking about Atlantis in the decline. The last was what you know as Poseidonis or Poseidonus, which was Datia. That flood happened 9,564 BCE, which is known as Noah's flood. Okay. What I want to say is, what was your question one more time? I know it, but repeat it again.
I was saying basically, was that where they got the Asiatic black man in the
yes.
a Nation of Islam?
I was saying Master Farad Muhammad was from Mecca. And I'm saying, yeah, Mecca, but Mecca in the Indus Valley. Because after that last flood I was talking about, a lot of these names that we're reading in Mesopotamia, names of areas in Mesopotamia, in Arabia, in these areas, there were pre-existed areas and names of them areas in the Indus Valley. Like there were 2 ores, for example. There was an ore in the Indus Valley. Y'all can look this up. This is scholarship primary facts. There was an ore in the Indus Valley, roughly around 7,500 BCE. That's a fact. So what we're saying in the book of the Torah right here at the Mighty Hebrew University, when it talks about Abraham being from Ur, we don't accept the Ur of Mesopotamia. We're saying that Abraham was from Ur, from the Indus Valley. We're saying that the 4th son of Jacob, Yaakov, Yehuda, Jehoiada, Judah, got that name, Judah, from a pre-existing tribe that came from the Indian subcontinent known as the Yadavas. That's the tribe that Abraham is from. The Hebrews existed before Abraham. They existed before Abraham. So when we understand the scripture in Genesis chapter 11, when it says those came from the east, it used the Hebrew word Kadim. Kadim is the Indus Valley. And they found a plain known as Sinar. Sinar is the Hebrew word for Mesopotamia. Sinar, I meant to say Sumer, which is in Mesopotamia. Sumer was built by ex-Brahmins that was running during the Ramayanian War. That's a historical fact. Now, many scholars haven't caught up to this yet. They try to say that the Sumerians, they're unknown, we don't know who they are, which, you know, their name come from a Sumerian word known as Shagha or Shagi, which means the black-headed ones. But they try to say, like, we don't know where these people come from. But if you understand the Indus Valley records, then because the Indus Valley records, they wrote this stuff. And they talk about how these ex-Brahmins were running into these areas in northern and southern Mesopotamia and renaming these areas after pre-existing areas in the Indus Valley as a reminder from which they come from. So that word, Yahuda, isn't a new word. And you think I'm lying? Go read the book, Anti-Calypsis from Sir Godfrey Higgins. He breaks all this down. He breaks all this down. You can see the similarities in the original Indus Valley traditions in the story of Abraham and Sarah. And they call Sarah Wavastia, right?
You know what's so crazy is that my godmother lived in. She actually studied in India for like I think she stayed there for almost a year, and you know in southern India they say that they come from Ethiopia. That a lot of southern Indian people say they came from Ethiopia.
Yeah, but let me break that down. That's you do have some that do when you start talking about the East African slave trade. Those that live in southern India, like the Siddis, Siddis, a lot of them come from the Tanzanian region, Ethiopia, and all them areas, many of the Bantu tribes during the East African slave trade. But I'm talking about those even before then. Now, you see Herodotus, he talks about there were two Ethiopias, Western Ethiopia, Eastern Ethiopia. Let me explain that. That's many and much respect to Rashidi and all of them that wrote African presence in early Asia. They thought it was talking about the Cushites that came from what we know as modern day Ethiopia and going into the Indus Valley. I beg to differ on that. When Herodotus is talking about the Eastern Ethiopians and the Western Ethiopians, the Eastern Ethiopians were the Yadavas that lived in southern India, right? And they became known as the Dalit, which means untouchable or thin, to make thin. Even that word Dalit has the same meaning in the Hebrew and having connections with the Hebrew word dal, which means to make thin or to crush. So these Eastern Ethiopians were your Yadavas that lived in what we know as the Indus Valley. The Western Ethiopians were those Yadavas from the Indus Valley that migrated into what we know as, Canaan land and all these. They became known as the Western Ethiopians. So the Eastern Ethiopians and Western Ethiopians, they both Yadavas. So when Abraham and them was migrating from where they from, they would be considered historically as Western Ethiopians.
Huh. Wow. Okay.
Boom.
And so the question Miss Math asked, so is the Asiatic black man a different man than the African, or is some black or even some black Americans?
I mean, from an esoteric sense, you hear people say Asia is, the body, Attic is the mind, but we know in the original Nation of Islam teachings, they took the word Asiatic to mean the original black man, centralizing the black American man, but it was universally recognized in the Nation of Islam. And still to this day, the original black man is all black men on the planet Earth. But we know that, and in some cases, the word Asiatic can be looked at as an insultive term. So me personally, you're not going to hear me say Asiatic, but I will say that we definitely, black Americans, definitely have a connection to that area. And let me prove it a little bit more. I forgot her name, but I want to try to introduce Napal Shaddai and her. There's a historian over in Nigeria, and y'all might have seen her research, but I forgot her name. And she's connecting the Igbo language and artifacts that they found. Like there's artifacts that they found with Dravidian artifacts from India. You got scholars in West Africa that are writing scholarly records saying that there are certain West African tribes that have connections with the Indus Valley. These are just facts. They're and I'm pretty sure people in the chat that's watching this, they can make some comments, and I'm pretty sure they heard of that. That's why you even see an interconnection with the Southern Indian language known as Tamil, Tamil. Then some people say it's the oldest language in the world, but they say that in the Bantu, they're very similar. They got same root words, they got same word sounds, etc., etc. So we know it's a connection, and it's also aligning with my thesis that I'm presenting today. So that's what I'm saying. All Hebrews don't even believe the same. So now I'm a Hebrew that say the original Hebrews come out of the Indian subcontinent, and they migrated, okay, into what we know as Mesopotamia, known historically as the Western Ethiopians migrating from the Indus Valley. That's when you read in Genesis 11, where it says the earth, at one time, the whole earth spoke one language. Well, the Ivrit, Irit, or Arat-Tazah don't just mean the whole entire planet. Things have to be translated properly in proper context and in proper content. So when it's talking about the whole earth, it's not talking about the whole entire planet. It's talking about a region. The whole land spoke one language, meaning they had one understanding. And they came from the east. That was the ex-Brahmins. That was also would be considered historically as the Western Ethiopians migrating from the Indus Valley. And they found the plain. And they called it Sinar and start building on it. And Sinar, we know historically as Sumer. So if you read the records in the law of Manu and other records of the Indus Valley, they let you know that in their records that Sumer and Kemet are colonies of the Indus Valley. That's what their records say. That's exactly what their records say. That's why I'm saying you can see the similarity in the pantheon of Kemet and the Indus Valley pantheon. They're the same. They're the same. And they have that same Naga understanding. That's why when in the suit, they put the cobras on their head. When they put, that was all a representation of the Naga thought. That's all another different topic. But let's continue on. Or you got something to say, Sister Napop, before we continue on? We are getting an hour 32 minutes. So we can keep it popping. Anything you want to say, DJ Genesis, Sister Napop, anybody?
All right. So what I'm thinking about doing is you know, there's a lot of people in the audience that want to that want to come up and talk. Because fine. We have another 50 minutes. We're trying to only do 2 hours. We just do a part 3 on the video.
Yeah,
and
this is great.
Let people come up and talk about. You get a lot of people with a lot of.
Okay, so this is what you do. This is what you do. Show 5 more minutes and then let people come up.
Okay. All right. Is that good, okay. Genesis?
Yeah, that's cool.
That's good. Right. And then what we do, we come back with a part 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we still got more. We gotta
we gotta do all the way.
We got a lot.
It's like 50 more minutes of it. So I was like, we need
that. But you got to remember, DJ Jen, that's just that. But we still got the other part. Remember?
Right.
Okay, we'll do a part 3. If we have to do a part 4, we'll do a part 4.
Okay. Right. It's going to at least be 4 parts, at least.
All right, let's do 5 more minutes, Genesis, and then we'll open up. We'll drop the link.
All right.
All right.
Okay. No problem.
So now, as you can see, this is the ancient Indus civilization. You see Harapparya, which is another name for Hebrew. It's another name. So it's not a thing that we should be afraid or ashamed to identify as such, because the reality, what I'm bringing forth, is the truth. Now, I'm going to read something to y'all from out of a book called The Way, the Prophetic Messianic Voice to the Path of the Edenic Kingdom Redemption by Natsarimi Rabbi Kohen Shalamin Ha Levi. He says on page, let's start at 288. He says this about the definition of Hebrew, Ibrit, Harapparya, or Harabu. He says the name Hebrew is from the Hebrew word Ivrit. Eber is said to be the grandson of Shem and the ancestor of Torah, Abraham's father, Bereshit, or Genesis 10:21 and 11:10-26. He and all his descendants were actually known as Hebrews. Eber, or Ibrit, means to cross over or to come from beyond. Now, he's correct all the way until I believe you get there. Now, when you break down any type of Hebrew and you see the yod at the end of any word, like if I say Shalom Achi, I'm saying completeness, my brother. If I say Shalom Makoti, I'm saying completeness, my sister. That hard, E sound at the end of Ivrit when you go to Genesis 14:13 is defining possession as a relation. So with that, the word Hebrew does not mean one who crosses over. The word Hebrew means my past as an ancient. So when you break down the word Hebrew Israelite, because you got to remember, or Ivri Yisraeli, or Aibaya Yasha'ala, when you break down the word Hebrew, it means ancient or my past. Yisrael or Yasha'ala means he is a powerful prince. So that's inclusive to princess. So in that retrospect, because Shah or Sar gave birth to Sarah or Shara, which is princess, they go hand in hand. So I won't necessarily say it gave birth. They both came by way of the Adam or the androgynistic asexual being that was neither male nor female, which I already broke that down. So now getting back to the point that I'm saying, now we can understand Hebrew Israelite meaning the mighty princes and princesses from ancient times or from the past. So now we can continue to build on. So he goes into Josephus, he goes into, different sources to show that the Haraparian dynasty of India, these people migrated and settled in the Middle East and in Northeastern Africa in areas near Mount Ararat and in Turkey. They settled in these areas. So he says on page 291, he says India is responsible for creating, developing, and colonizing Egypt, and later putting an end to the pharaoh dynasties under Cyrus, son of Cambrius, and the land of Cush, which included Yemen, which are a separate people from the peoples who originally inhabited the continent of Africa west of the Nile. This is reported in Jubilees concerning the inheritance of Shem, as opposed to the inheritance of Ham or Ham. We see that the land of Cush, not only in Northeast Africa, but Sumeria, Kish, and in India, and many times the same areas that were synonymous with India are synonymous with Kush or Kushite people or Hindu Kush in India. So we see that. He says on page 292, the Eberites were considered a large tribe of people who originated in the east from the Ori. As stated previous, they were also known as the Harabu or the Arabu, nomadic peoples associated with the ancient Indus Valley peoples called the Haraparians. You heard that, okay? He also says on page 296, he quotes Amos 9:7, where it says, "Are ye not as the children of the Ethiopians / India unto me, O children of Israel," says Yahweh. He says, as you can begin to make the connections, the Hebrews have been considered by many scholars as being one and the same with the people of ancient India, the cradle of civilization. Now remember what Herodotus said. Herodotus clearly said out of his mouth, there are two types of Ethiopians. You have Eastern Ethiopians and Western Ethiopians. When he was speaking about the Western Ethiopians, he was speaking about the Hamitic tribes that live.
Bang. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
King Jay said that he wanted to come up, so I was just waiting to see him come on.
That's fine. Anybody can come up. Anybody. Giving all praise and honor to Yahweh, the supreme, intelligent, powerful one of our forefathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Those striving for righteousness' sake. I want to say it to the family. Shabbat Shalom, live and direct. Tanzania, East Africa. It is 7:05 a.m. The sun, I watched the sun rise. while we was doing this. Hallelujah. I can hear. It's funny. I got monkeys. I got monkeys in my backyard. Everybody.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
I do not, but you know them little ones, them little like
the cappuccino.
Yeah, them little like
the cute little ones that are mischievous.
They be eating my papaya trees, man. They be eating my food, but they cool though. They've been here forever. They don't bother me.
I think you can train them to like know that you could put some aside. I don't remember.
Yeah, I'll be giving them bananas, all kinds of stuff. They be eating that.
And they'll eat what you give them instead of go on your tree. That's
Absolutely.
cool. That's cool, little cappuccino monkey. So that was great. There's so much information in there. People were in the chat. I don't know if Harwin, come on in. King J, this is your time. I know you're pretty respectful. Everybody is pretty respectful. Come on in and ask your questions, please. The link is in the chat.
Right.
Please show yourself, though. I mean, Genesis, you got to be careful. Sometimes people flash corn. Unless you know this person, do you?
No.
Well.
There's a real person, King Earth. Hello.
Right. Show us.
Damn.
You got to show yourself. King J, we know. You could. But if it's somebody you know, Genesis, fine. But King Earth, if you could turn your camera on so we could see who you are, because neither of us know you. Yes, let's see your face and I'll let you on. Please come forward, sir or ma'am. King, yeah. Thank you so much. And okay.
All right. So, King J had a lot of things he wanted to say in the chat. So,
not a lot of things, but peace to the panel. Man, no, I did enjoy the presentation. And kind of like what me and the pod talked about earlier, like, I'm trying. I try to find points of that I agree with,
right,
and build on that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to try to destroy anybody's presentation or anything. If anything, add to, or at least ask an intelligent question, right? So, I do. So, and so what I see here, I actually chat about the Harappan culture. I'm familiar with. You spoke about it. You spoke about it. I asked about the Kibir Pass or Kibar Pass, right? I asked about the Arabian Sea. You spoke about that, or the Indian Ocean, which I would refer to as like the Bay of Bengal, maybe. So you referred to all of that, the locations. The Malekin, right? It's Malekin colony, right? In my thesis, this is the only thing that throws me off is because I would place them in North Mesopotamia.
I know.
Yeah,
That's our south. Yeah,
that's our only contention because
I know.
I see them there trading and everything, with the lapis lazuli, bringing in the ivory and the ebony and the timber and everything.
But you heard what I said. I said they were in the north and in the south.
North, okay, so north and south. Okay, so yeah, they're trading. I see him in Sargon's, text at the dock port. I see him there, so I'm with you on that. Yep, I think. Oh, so my question was in regards to that word, though. Do you see anything in correlation to that Sanskrit word malekin and the Hebrew word, Semitic word malek?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, 100%. And you know how we know that? When you go into the book of Esther, right? And you see that this is during the time of Xerxes. And they said that Xerxes, he ruled over 127 provinces. And then them 127 provinces, it started from what we know from India to Ethiopia. This is what we see. So there was always an Eastern and a Western influence. It's always been that way. You see what I'm saying? So when we start, and even when we look at the structures, the architectural structures of many of the worshiping centers in the Indus Valley. And then you even go as far as West Africa and you see some of the very old structures that they undigging right now in Nigeria, going back roughly around 500 to 600 BCE. You can see the similar structures. You can see the pottery. This is facts. You can see the pottery and the archaeological pottery and the same pottery in the Indus Valley. So there has always been a connection, especially with the Tamal words and the ancient Hebrew words. They have very, very similar words. Let me show you right now. There's a book, brother, that I think everybody should read. It's called Jesus and Moses Are Buried in India, Birthplace of Abraham and the Hebrews, written by Dr. Glenn D. Matlock. This book is fire, and it goes into how that the Hebrews were originally black, and they saying that they were known as a group from the Indian subcontinent known as the Yadavas. I mean, this dude, he goes in. I mean, this white boy go in, and he's breaking it all down and saying that Aryan was a part of a noble classmanship of black, Yadavas, and that what you call in the caste system of the Indus Valley, it was originally dealing with a caste. When the British came in, and they colonized, and you know this history, when they came and they colonized, they took certain Sanskrit caste titles and deceptively put white supremacy in the midst to control the area, by the way, which you would call divide and conquer. I mean, divide and conquer the light-skinned natives versus the dark-skinned natives. The same thing that they did to us in the United States. You see what I'm saying? The same type of tactic. But this book right here, it goes in, and I want to show you, because you asked, I think somebody asked the question about similar. Yeah, that was you. And you said about the Malik or the king, could there be connections? Well, this man in one of these chapters, I'm getting it right now, he takes the Tamal words and Hebrew words and put them side to side and show the similarity in sound. And another book you should get by him too. I got it right here, because you mentioned the connection. You should get. He wrote a couple books. He wrote another book called India Once Ruled the Americas. Here it is right here.
Okay, I see it.
He wrote this, and he breaks down the underworld known as Patala. And he also, this is the controversy. It's called Yashivatal 2000. The Hindu ancestor of Judaism speaks in this millennium. So he's breaking down that they call Judaism, and also elements of the Hebrew culture go back to the Brahmanistic systems of the Indus Valley.
Did you hear about how the actual swastika was really a Buddhist symbol, and it was supposed to be showing Buddha's footsteps and him walking?
Yes, that's a fact. I found it, brother. I found it. So it's on page 7, which you asked me. On page 76, it says, it does this. It says Judaism and the Shabbatite Hinduism share the same names for God. And as you can see, it gives, like, if y'all can put my joint up bigger so everybody can see, because I want them to, so you can see, hold on, y'all see it.
Yeah, we can see it.
They doing the comparative study of the Hebrew and Kashmirian Kabbalistic terminology. It's about the same. And then when you start talking about a list of words, it shows you. It says the word list, Hebrew and Kashmirian. And you start from the bottom. Look, y'all. Hold on. Wait, right there. Y'all see it?
Let me see. In the red? I mean, hold on.
No, not in the red, but you see it.
Hebrew. You say miscellaneous word list?
Yup.
Okay, yeah, Kashmir.
Right, and it's Kashmir Hebrew, and here it is right here. So a whole page, and it's more though. And it shows the Kashmirian words and Hebrew words, and they the same, and they go back to the same source. It's basically answering your question about that Hebrew word Malik And that
Yeah.
same Hindu word that you're talking about, this
Mm-hmm.
scholar is saying that when you look at the Hebrew language and the Tamil language, you'll see that it's the same. And then he breaks down how, what you know as Aramaic, it originally came from out of Afghanistan.
That word what was the word again? Kashmirian? Is that what you said? Kashmir?
Yes, sir.
Now
Yes, sir.
what does that word mean?
Kashmir?
Yeah. In
I
the
don't know
Sanskrit.
offhand. I can look it up real quick for you.
In the Sanskrit, because I'm curious
I'll look it up for you, and before we
okay.
get off the show, I'll give it to you.
Okay. And because I'm wondering, I'm just curious if I can make a correlation with Kasdim.
Demos.
Were you saying Kasdim? You talking about the Chaldeans, right?
So come back, Harwin.
Sons of Cassette.
That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, that is in fact true, because you look up the word for Chaldean, it goes back to the Hebrew person. When you look in Genesis, the 10th chapter, one of the sons of Shem was Araphax.
Yes.
But in Hebrew, it says Afad to Shad. And it uses or for sad. So or being the land of
city of Earth. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then and we see Elam. And
Mm-hmm.
Elam got connections to the Indus Valley.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying, I'm using Genesis 11 as the premise to say that those that came from the east, you read the Bible, it says those that came from the east, they found the plain and called it Sinar. They came from the east. They came from the Indus Valley and start pushing west. And they found the plain called Sinar. Sinar is Sumer. That's why I'm saying that these people were ex-Brahmins that were running from the Ramayanian war.
Right. Let me hold on, guys. I just want to get we lost somebody. Come back, Harwin, if you need to, but we're gonna have
that other guy, can he come back? Because he's been wanting to talk.
I know.
Yeah, that was horrible. Yeah, that was horrible.
Have him come
Let's
back.
get Earth King in here. He wants to make some comments or ask some questions. Go ahead, Earth King of the Earth.
My question is simple. When Moses explains that Abram is of Ur, and Ur has been found as in the Iran-Iraq area, my question is, why do you believe these third parties instead of believing what Moses personally put in Torah himself? Why believe the third party instead of believing Moses himself?
Right. That's a good question. Hold on. Let's take each question at a time, because I want everybody to hear my answers one at a time.
You get to ask after he's finished, Earth King.
Yeah. So the reason why, when Moses said or, the same or that we talking about is connected to Araphax. When you look at the archaeology that you're talking about, when they talk about or, it's only going back roughly between the 8th, no further than the 9th century BCE. But when you look at the ore of the Indus Valley, and this is not something that is third information, this is actually archaeology. The ore in the Indus Valley go back 7,500 BCE. And it makes sense when you hear Joshua talking about we worship gods on the other side of the flood. And when we look, we can clearly see this chain of events starting from the Indus Valley, going into ancient Mesopotamia. Not only that, our forefather Josephus, out of his own mouth, wrote that our ancestors came from the Indus Valley. Now, he says this out of his own mouth in the book of Josephus. So not only, and also you got Tacitus, who clearly says that, not Tacitus, he says that we were originally Ethiopians, meaning from what Herodotus said, that we came from the Indus Valley. We got Clericus. These are actual scholars of that time, eyewitness scholars. They said that we descended from a group of priests that came from out of the Indus Valley. All these different scholars at that time period identified the Hebrews coming from there. Even when you look in the book of Judith, chapter 5, in the Apocrypha, it talks about in the 5th chapter, verse 7, that the Hebrews were direct descendants of the Chaldeans. When you look at the Chaldeans and in their history, they even let you know that they go back to the Indus Valley. And then they went into Mesopotamia and start building there and then pushing into what we know as Canaan land and Egypt and even deeper into the body of Africa and became known as the Bantu speaking tribes of Africa today. You can ask your next question.
And that's oh yeah. All right, that was his question.
So
that's
go ahead.
You're muted, Earth King of the Earth, if you had a second question.
Right.
Yeah, I muted myself to be polite to hear the speaker be able to speak without any type of reverb. Just trying to be polite.
Thank you for that. You can ask your second question and then he'll answer and then we can move on. Go ahead.
All right. Second question. Again, Moses spoke of his wife from Cush and the sister of Moses. Now, the sister of Moses was punished for being racist against the wife of Moses because she was the only black girl around. So here's the question. How can the Hebrews be black when it is proven that the sister of Moses, one, is not black, and two, was racist against the blacks? Therefore, by default, the Hebrews cannot be black, or there could not have been the black on black racism.
Okay. I'm gonna answer your question.
What?
It didn't have.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
It was a cultural difference. It didn't have anything to do with race, because if we go back into the story of Joseph, remember when Joseph's brothers sold him into slavery, right? And when Joseph became a vizier, why didn't the brothers recognize that was Joseph? They went back to Yaakov or Jacob and said that this Egyptian is doing thus. And we know historically, without any complication, that the ancient people of Kemet were Black African people. And that's a fact. And we know who the people are today. They are the Bija tribes of the Sudan, and even going to certain Somalians that go back to ancient Kemet, right? So even with the story of Moses, remember, Moses was quote unquote adopted, right? If Moses was a so-called white man, why wasn't he recognized? And then also one might say, oh, you know, they knew he was a Hebrew, was one of the Hebrew boys because he was white. No, it was a cultural difference. The reason why, because the Hebrew boy was circumcised. Remember, all the Hebrew male sons were circumcised on the 8th day, also symbolic of the covenant in the name of the Creator when you're dealing with Hebrew gematria. And the number of the tetragrammaton comes out to 26. 2 plus 6 equals 8, which is the sign of the covenant. Whereas though you go into ancient Kemet, the only ones that were circumcised were those that were initiated in the Egyptian Kemetic system. Everybody else, they weren't circumcised. But when it came to the Hebrew boys, all the Hebrew boys were circumcised on the 8th day. So that's how it was recognized. So I don't understand where you're getting this idea from, that it was some racism. And the only black person was Moses' wife. That's false, because Moses himself was black. And even when you go into certain records about Moses, even in Islam, they describe Moses as a black man. And if he was a black man, why wouldn't he put his hand in his bosom?
Come on.
It turned out white. And then from there, he wound up putting his hand back into his bosom, his arm. It turned back to his original color.
And I just want to, not to cut you off, I've been waiting for you to get to that. We have the actual scripture that you're referring to, King of the Earth. That's in Numbers. It says, the anger of the Lord was kindled against them. He departed from them, and the cloud departed from off the tabernacle. And behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow. So how is she white already if she was turned white?
And don't think it's talking about the other type of leprosy.
Damn, y'all should drop some bombs for that.
Right, and watch this. Don't try to use.
I swear I was gonna say that, but
hold on. Wait, y'all. Let me add to that real quick, because I don't want you to try to use the leprosy that you might see people getting around the world. That's two different things. The Hebrew word is ziggurat, which is talking about a plague of the skin turning from black to white. So the way that you coming on, I peep people vibrations. And what I'm saying is this: all the Hebrews were black. All
yeah,
of
but
them was
even similar to vitiligo, and you know what we welcome everybody. So
facts.
I don't even know what he is. I really didn't get a good look at you, but we're talking only about the scripture. You know, people have accepted that, or the misconception or the lie that these people were white for millennia. Now that we're coming to the realization, even white scholars, the consensus is that nobody was white during that time. So I just want to hear from you, and then we can move on. Earth, King of the Earth, you do see that we're showing you, it says white, and it means like a type of vitiligo, the leprosy that they're talking about. What do you say about that, sir?
We agree that the Hebrews was not from the Caucasus mountain range.
Okay.
But
we
they
don't
were
agree
not.
to that. I don't agree
Yes,
to
we
that.
do. The Hebrews did not come from the Caucasus mountain range. They are not Ukrainians.
Well, they're not. They might be Amorites.
Ukraine isn't the only country
The
that's in the Caucasus
Hebrews
Mountains.
are not Ukrainians. The
I never
Hebrews
said they
did
were
not.
Ukrainians.
Hold on. Let everybody one at a time. We're gonna keep order. So
Yeah,
let
let's
the
let 'em
dude
go.
finish, and then from there, the next brother. Even though I disagree with what he's saying, that the Hebrews weren't black. I'm saying they were.
Let's
black.
let him go, but I do want to throw this out. Have you seen the original Caucasoids, from the Caucasus Mountains? Have you seen how dark they are? And have you seen them with the nappy hair? But I'm just going to leave that there on the table. But go ahead, Earth King.
Now, as Moses explained, they came from right?
Okay.
Chaldeans. Now, if you look at that and you look at the modern Chaldean, the modern people who would be from that land area of that ruined city of spelled U-R, they are Persian Arabs. They are not white.
I want to stop him right there.
Wait.
Can I just stop you because your premise is false? I just want to say,
No. Let me answer.
It's going to be a lot to unpack.
I know, but it's referring
Let's
to
let
me.
him cook.
So
give me five. Okay, I just give me five. I just want to say because just simply means city. I just want to say
let him say
let him finish. Let that man finish.
Okay.
Let him finish.
Let him cook.
Let him cook. Go ahead, Earth King.
As I was saying, the Hebrews did not come from Europe. They did not come from Africa. They came from the Middle East, from the eastern Iraq, western Iran area. They are Persian Arabs.
That's right.
Neither African nor European. They are Persian Arabs.
Okay. Historically, that's inaccurate. It just is.
Moses is the one who is the source. So to say I am wrong, blasphemy against Moses by default of saying something is different.
Let me answer your question. You can hold that.
Okay.
I mean, get a little bit of order. Let me answer your question. Yeah, let me answer your question.
Let me let you get it all out, because once he's talking, he wants to answer you so we can hear both of you. Are you finished with your full statement, King of the Earth?
Are you finished with your answer? I mean, your question.
Yeah.
You're asking the question that you have what is known as Persian.
We're going to move on to Harwin.
Yeah, Persian Arabs. See, that's why I keep saying to everybody on House of Consciousness, we got to start studying the ground from a social anthropological standpoint. Because once you do that, you will understand who's in these areas. And when you go into what is known as the so-called Middle East, especially in places like Iraq, you can type online about the Afro-Iranians, Iraqis, all of them. They always have these back places where the indigenous people still dwell, which you're calling Persian Arabs. They are a product of European crusaders in the Dark Age Ottoman Turkish Empire that took over during the time of Constantinople. Now, this is a historical fact, man. This is how they got into these areas, and they pushed out the indigenous people into mountainous regions and areas. We even see this in Israel with Jerusalem's prison gate. When you go into the Negev in Israel, which is northeastern Africa, which you keep falsely calling the Middle East. That term was a British geopolitical social construct for operational regions to control that environment. And when you understand the British control at that time, then you will understand the reasons why the British called northeastern Africa the Middle East. It's understandable because of where they came from, why they would call it that. But that was a geopolitical term that has nothing to do with that region still being or not being in Africa. The so-called Middle East is in Africa. All the indigenous people that you're reading about in the so-called Bible that lived in these areas were Black people. What you call in the term Persia, that is more of a modern term. The name comes from out of Elam, and then later on you get the word Persia and then Iran, which means land of the Aryan. And you got to understand that when the British had control of that time, remember, they controlled the caste system of India at that time. And when they gave it these names like Iran, land of the Aryan, they imposed the idea that the Aryan was the Nordic, blue-eyed, blonde hair man. And they put that in them areas with them foreign people in them areas. So the people that you call in today, these are the original people. They weren't there in ancient times. They are modern people that just got into that region. And anybody that know history and stop playing and making it seem like these people were always there. They DNA show that they weren't there because the oldest DNA fossils that we're seeing in the regions are the Natufians, and they don't even match their DNA.
Yeah, and I do want to just say this about Aryan itself, if you can hear me. Aryan is when we started having those racist constructs during the Vril society taking a turn in with you know who, Hitler. Aryan is linguistic. It's not even biological or genetic. So
that's a fact.
Yeah, that's another thing I want to throw out there. Just putting that out there. So thank you.
And that's what I said earlier. So
yeah, we got brought up.
Brother King wanted to say something, or Brother Harold.
Actually, we're going to get to Harwin.
Harwin. Because Harwin been waiting.
Harwin left and came back. So this is a great conversation. We don't have to all agree, but I appreciate everybody being really respectful because we want to get this all out on the table, right? Go ahead, Harwin. Thank you for your patience.
Oh, yeah, no problem. I think Gorilla Hebrews seems like a studious brother.
Mighty
I'm sorry, my bad, brother. My bad, bro.
Okay.
Mighty Hebrew.
Thank you.
It's respectful. You come off respectful, bro. So it's all love. I think that you said some things that is very profound. The first thing is you said we can't just be agreeing with modern academia. We should challenge it. I wholeheartedly agree. For example, when they claim that the Egyptian pyramids were built during the 4th, 5th, 6th dynasty, that's cap. They can't prove that. That's cap.
I think they were older. They were older.
Much older.
Facts.
You know, Dr. Robert Salk even says that they're just going off what they assume Khufu built, and they try to attribute it to the Papyrus Merer in a name that was written on there later on that says Khufu inside the Great Pyramid. So you also said something about the Bantu and the Dravidian and Tamil being closely related. That's another thing that you did that was real spot on. My contention was where the ancient Egyptians claim that they come from. I would say that they never said that they came from people that came from India, if you look at the text, right? But I would agree that if they did, let's just say you're right, because I don't want to argue with you. Let's just say you're right. If they did, we got to deal with the Khoisan people in Southern Africa and dating of the Adams calendar. And then we're going to show how the words in their language and their lexicon is related to what we're so-called calling Bantu. And they try to say that these are different language family. Would you agree with that, Mighty Hebrew?
That the Bantu is a different language family from the Khoisan?
Yes, sir. No, not that it is, but that modern scholarship claims that it is.
I think they do have a similar root. I do think they have a similar root in certain circumstances, but from what I see on the ground, and me went to South Africa, and I'm just telling you what some of my friends that are Kusan are saying. They're saying that they were in South Africa before the Bantu. They say that the Bantu came from out of the Cameroon region and invaded. This is what they're saying. But it actually strengthened my thesis of the Bantu expansion actually being the Israelite expansion of the northern kingdom of Israel. But that's another story, another topic. But what
not really.
Oh, if you're saying not really, okay, cool.
Yeah, not really, not another topic. I got Khoisan brothers that live there too. I talked to them, been talking to them for over a decade.
Right.
So they do say that, but they also say some are already there that they're calling Bantu, that speak Bantu languages. And as you and Nepal just agree, language is not genetics, right?
That's true. That's true. Because you could take on somebody's language and not necessarily be the people.
Right. And what they're calling the expansions in the Cameroon, there were expansions even before that. Would you agree, Marty? I mean, yeah, Marty Hebrew.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. So that's the ones I'm talking
about. There was more than one Bantu expansion. I did a presentation and I showed 4 Bantu expansions.
Got you. So what I'm saying is I would like to focus on what we probably agree on more so than we disagree, because I think what you're saying is what you're speaking on, people will be scared to go into. They would call it quote unquote pseudo, right?
Absolutely.
You know, that term that gets thrown around.
But you can't, even if you disagree with me, it's constructive. That's fine. If you want to bring your disagreements, we can build on the disagreements. That's no problem. Along with the agreements, as long as we just respecting each other, definitely. I want you to tell me, how you view certain things, because if I am wrong, or if it can help me elevate what I already know, I want that. I want that information because I don't know everything. So go ahead, tell me your agreements and disagreements. We're listening.
Oh yeah, I'm going in on the stuff we agree on, bro.
Okay, do that first. Okay, continue that.
Yeah.
The disagreements. That's fine.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's something to what you're saying about the Dravidian and the Bantu, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something happened. Whatever people like to believe that landmass was there or not, and that people were there that were Homo sapiens prior to 350,000 years ago or not.
Facts.
Something happened. Hold on, bro. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Are you, while we wait, Harwin, are you grabbing something, or we just needed to give us a minute while you do something personally? I think he's doing something. Let's, King J, did you want to?
Yeah, I just wanted to say something. I'm gonna be short. I'm never long-winded. Yeah, a couple points. Just off top, Clyde Winters, African Kings of India.
Mm-hmm.
This book, I've read it a few times. Talks about the Naga, the Braham, things of that nature. I don't have too much problems with that. And I want him to entertain my theses in regards to a northern hypothesis opposed to the southern one, because I think because just what you just said right now just rung in my head when you said Arafat, right? And that literally just meant to me city of Urfa, right? And that's in the north. You know what I'm saying? Close to Haran. You know what I'm saying? It would be very close to where Noah would have landed, right? Close to the land of northern, the northern Mesopotamia, where land of Shinar.
That would make, but your theses make sense if we're saying, if I'm saying that we originated from out of the Indian subcontinent and we're from the east coming west, naturally we would hit north first.
That makes sense, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And then we would shoot south, because
well, why would you shoot south?
I mean, to expand the culture. To expand the culture. And remember, we got to look at it. We got to look at it from a social perspective. Like there's evidence, but there's more evidence in the north than the south on that.
Right.
But we can socially look like over here in Tanzania alone, you have 125 tribes here in Tanzania alone. The biggest tribe is the Chaga tribe. Now, the Chaga tribe started in the Moshi area, but you see the expansion of them in Morogoro, you see them in Tonga, you see them in Wanza, you see them in Dar es Salaam. The point that I'm saying is our history, we weren't just a people that just stayed still. We were also a people that moved around. So we know that there were colonies of the South coming from out of the North as well. So that's what I mean by we was in the South. You know what I mean? So I would never deny that we didn't have any connection with the North because we were hit North first as we're coming from the Indus Valley.
Makes sense. So you don't subscribe to Crowley?
Say what?
You don't subscribe to Crowley? Is it Willie or is it Crowley? Leonard Crowley?
I thought you were saying Aleister Crowley.
No. Are you familiar with Crowley? And he discovered the Sumerian grave pit.
Yes, absolutely. And
so I don't. I have a whole presentation debunking it because to me it just seems as if his discoveries was he placed that title of, and that's what everybody's going off of. Him placing that title of this was a royal pit, it's Abraham. I think it was just driven by money, funding. They had just found King Tut's tomb.
Right.
He's trying to get money to compete with that. They're trying to make find Iraq or southern Mesopotamia in the Bible. So we
saying the same thing. When I say I acknowledge him, meaning that's the problem that I'm having because his finding is stated just like I told Earth King. It's going between the 7th century to the 9th century BCE. That would contradict Abraham coming 2166 BCE. That is why I'm placing Abraham at the Ur of the Indus Valley, not the Ur in what we know as Mesopotamia.
Third expansion.
Go ahead, get that out, and then I'm going to let us get back to
third expansion.
You said third expansion?
For Abraham, was it 2300?
Yeah, he was born from our records 2166 BCE.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. That's a good date.
Okay.
Because
you say 2166 BCE?
Yeah, that's the date we use here at the Mighty Hebrew University. Yes.
Okay, Harwin, you're back, and we're going to just go around the panel after you get, everything that you need to ask, and even in the chat. What did you want to come back with, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, when he was talking about that, when he talked about the Harappan and then the India connection and it connected to Madagascar, am I right, Mighty Hebrew?
Say that one more time.
The land that connected to Madagascar that's underwater.
Yes. Yeah.
You mentioned that, right?
Yeah, we call it Tamal Nadu. Yes.
Got you. So what I'm saying is something slightly different. There was somebody, a group of people that came.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. We need to mute out. Go ahead, Harwin.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That was him. Okay. I think he's got some family issues going on. I'm sure it's late. Dang. We are going to do a part 3. So if we can get him back in here before we go around, I do want to let's start with our friend, Earth King of the Earth. Thank you for joining. We'd like to hear from you. Just if you can unmute and give us your final words before we close out. Go ahead.
First, thank you for having me. Second, it is good to disagree because that brings dialogue.
Right.
Dialogue solves all problems. Much love all around. Big hugs to everyone. God bless you all. And I'm going to go ahead and step down so you can have other panelists up. And I hope you all have a beautiful evening.
Oh, wow. Thank you. All right. That's great. Yes, I absolutely agree. And please come back for part 3 of this presentation from Prince Charlandine. So definitely see yourself out when you're ready. Let's get to King J and let him have his final words as well. Thank you, King J. Go ahead.
Yep. I jumped on late, so I'm kind of mad that it's ending kind of soon. It's only a couple hours. You know, we normally go on for a little longer, but
You want us to be up here all night long. Talking about
it
I'm
is.
not long-winded. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
It is.
King
I
J
mean,
always say he ain't long-winded. He know he be
it
getting it in,
is.
cooking.
It did go for an hour. But no, it is damn near midnight. I'm just looking at it, so for sure. But yeah, wait, I just lost my whole train of thought. Give me 1 second. Come back to me. Give me 1 second. Cause I did.
Yeah,
Wait. No, wait. I'm ready. No.
all right,
Oh,
go
so
ahead. Yes, definitely.
what I will say is this, and especially in regards to Crowley and discoveries like that. I think and especially on this panel and platform at a time in history that we can challenge a lot of outdated um history, right? A lot of material that was, in the history books and are still in the history books now are in there just because, they haven't been challenged. It takes a lot of money to, rewrite these books and get them out of there. So I think we should write theses, write papers, submit them to these journals, submit them to these places, so they can either accept them or reject them. We do a lot of peer review on here. We so critical of ourselves. I'm sure that they, would pass, but at least submit them. Submit our original thought. And I think that's what's important is that whether you agree with them or not, that we have a methodology and we're able to create our own thoughts. So just keep going with doing what you're doing. Mighty Hebrew, I learned a lot from you. Keep going.
Right. And I like that you said that, King J. Brother Reggie mentioned stuff like that as well, writing our own papers. I would
Mm-hmm.
love to see Prince Charlandine put more of
Mm-hmm.
your work out, in academia and other places, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get your papers written out, and then we can just,
For
search
sure.
you up,
Yep.
reference your work. So, yeah, thank you for that.
For
Um,
sure.
what do you say about that? I think Genesis, so she and I will close out the end of it, the end of the end. But Prince Charlandine, thank you for doing this presentation. What do you thank you, King J? What do you say about that? What he mentioned? That's a good point.
He's absolutely right. He's absolutely correct. Many people don't know I was a contributing columnist for the Jerusalem Chronicle newspaper for over 5 years. So a lot of my academic scholarship work is in that. I also wrote, for other, newspapers, not like worldwide known, but nationally known within underground circles. And I also have, as y'all see when we doing the PowerPoint presentation and the writings, a lot of the writings come from out of one of my books, Our True History of Diaspora and Our Freedom. I wrote a book called 311 trillion, 40 billion BC to now. I mean, it's dynamic. I got Jerusalem Chronicle right now working on it with me. So this is going to be my second release that I'm going to be trying to get published, and it's going to be spread all over the world. Nationally, first in the United States. And I mean, I ended with page like 843. So I actually, went in real hard on this and not get into the pages of Genesis or the what you know as the days of creation, really being root epics, starting from 311 trillion, 40 billion years ago down to 100,000 BCE on the seventh, root epic known as the seventh day, and then trickling down post antediluvian history. And it's just dope to our modern era. So he's absolutely correct. We have to challenge academic consensus. Just because they say something, that don't mean it's true. You know what I'm saying? It don't mean it's true. We have traditions over here in the East where they're saying that it's not true. But we need to come up, because, one thing being on the House of Consciousness or Sinaitic Studios, they say source up or shut up. We want to put our sources together now. So as, Sister Neftali said, that's not Sister Neftali, Sister Nepal said that we have to do this so we can source and use our material as reference points.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We have to, come together even monetarily and take our best scholars and have them explore, through fundraisers. We can fly different scholars to do research. You know what I mean? And they might have to stay in certain areas for maybe 3 to 6 months to do the ground footwork and come back with the report. This is when you look at you know, a lot of the archaeologists, a lot of what is being shown on PBS and others, all that's being funded by the Rockefeller Association and the Royal Society. These people fund these people to create a narrative that suits their interests. What is our interest as a people? You know what I'm saying? And when people want to look outside the box, instead of y'all helping to pull the person's mind more outside the box, y'all say they pseudo. You know, all those that came before, everything start with an idea. Not idea, but idea. What is an idea? With an eternal idea, you can continue to build. So, you know, people that came, they were looked at as pseudo. Those that came before the challenge, the social norm at the time, they was known as pseudo. And then from there, when they were found to be correct, they're not identified as pseudo no more. You know, we got to get out of this mind state that our ancestors, they were just so primitive that they couldn't, you couldn't acknowledge them of having an understanding where they have, you know, thousands of years ago, even to this day. Why you think the pyramids are so complex? If we are so advanced as a people, why can't that be duplicated even to this day? Why haven't they duplicated it on a level like that? And there are so many theories how the pyramids were built. So even to this day, with all the technology and advancement, the pyramids are still a mystery. Yeah, we have theories, which is different from a scientific theory, by the way. Okay? We have theories, but that doesn't mean that these theories are true. So to say all that, we have to come into our own and not be afraid to express our ideas, even if them ideas may shake the foundation of what is known as being socially norm. We have a right to question these people. We just don't say, oh, because academic consensus said it or academia said it, it's true. That don't mean it's true because they said, because a group of big heads came together and they all agreed. Oh, they just all agree, but that don't make it the absolute. You see what I'm saying? So we need, and remember, our history shows that we've been on the planet beyond the conception of even their lineal understanding. Remember, their lineal understanding is to control an element. And to what, if you can control through time and space the history of a people mathematically, then you control and define life. That's why he tell you this, you see, we found this bone right here. They can tell you all this, the last bone thing that he ate and who his mama was, who his daddy was, all that. But when they come to us as a collective body politic to this day, and they still theorizing, even with DNA, they still don't know who we are. But I'm going to tell you who we are. We are Elohim embodied in human form and may have various different names through different epochs of time, different dispensations of time. We may have various names, but we always existed because we are, in fact, Yahweh on earth as it is in heaven. Hallelujah. If
Love
you
it.
can, God should die.
Let
Play
me
that
drop a
song.
bomb for you,
We
though.
closed out. Close out with the song. I think
We will. We're going to close out. I want you to give us some background on it, but I do want to say this too. I was thinking when you're saying we need to do our own thing. We have people in our community. You're over there in Tanzania. You go to Turkey. You go all around Israel, Africa. We have Jabari going to Kemet. We have Anthony Browder doing actual archaeological digs. So we can do it. It's being done. It just needs to be done a little bit more. So thank you so much. So tell us the background on the song that Genesis is going to play for us. You still there, Genesis?
Yeah,
I'm here.
Yeah, this off my album, not my War Cloud. You know what I'm saying? Which song is that? Let me look at the song.
Oh, I thought you want to show that, Jen.
So I can tell you, so I can tell you
want me to put the screen
the inspiration of the song. Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
I see it.
Let me put it up. Go ahead, give us a background.
This song is called Gross Darkness. Like, it's a mind state. When you see the picture on my album cover, War Cloud, you see the Washington Capitol and all that, and you see all these helicopters and they shooting at the Capitol, and then you see this big cloud as if it was a nuclear bomb that blew up. Well, that's really symbolic to the minds of our people laying waist deep in the States over there in the wilderness of North America. But there's a shaking that's taking place from an academic perspective, from a spiritual perspective, from an anthropological perspective, an archaeological perspective, just in the world view scope of Black America taking on new heights and elevating into the world divine beings that we were so destined to be on this planet Earth. And, Gross Darkness off the album War Cloud is a challenge to Western liberal democracy and the social norms that has crept in by the way of the social fabric of eating America's apple pie, symbolically, throwing out there. So this song, Gross Darkness, is also showing hip hop skill, because a lot of people, they'll bring out music, and they don't really, really be spitting real hip hop. But I want to give a shout out to Killer Priest, Hellraiser from Sons of Man that brought me out. Shout out to DJ Lowe's, Lord Melchizedek Kantar, and Wise Man that produced all my albums. So let's get it. That's
all right. Thank you. I have this covered. Thank you. Tune in for part 3. Keep your notifications on and subscribe to all the channels that are involved in this build today. Thank you. Go ahead, Priestess.
To the oscillated world of existence and pure will. Grows darkness, take the minds of people over. Vultures hunt for the blood of young soldiers. Time of the end of this world is right now. See truth is iron, break chains of bondage, destroy the blindness. As a sun, now you're rising now. Grows darkness, take the minds of people over. Vultures hunt for the blood of young soldiers. Time of the end of this world is right now. See truth in Zion, break chains of bondage, destroy the blindness. As a sun, now you're shining now. There's a dark eclipse forming to a Voltron. Demon in misty darkness, absorbing screams of families bleeding. Entities are natural enemies of energies, spitting out Mother Nature, menstruated spheres in infinity. Battle with Armageddon, light and shadow, fight for life that lies within the circumference of endless bliss. There's nothingness, transcend mind to timelessness. So evil ones lose their way, lost unknown of a dimensional Sephirah, where space-time doesn't exist, known as a Keter of Ezizabad, the holy army of repattering that shatters memories to continue cycles of divine sparks that's reincarnated back into physical arcs. So Elohim can spark either lightning in the dark, form an image and likeness, mind and tech mind, and one is unblind. Our raiders and traders, the Rabbi HaMoshiach is our savior. The sorry daughter, former of my mental makeup, visions of oneness sustain my anger that lurks in the bottomless pit of our satanic strangers. Violence is sharp as a deadly razor, a venom that's dangerous. When piercing the brain image, your body breakdown is vicious. Your life caught in sand is quicker and your essence is now ascending to another motion of emotion. Your memory is now the logo and stories of old ones showing photos. Grows darkness, take the minds of people over. Vultures hunt for the blood of young soldiers. Time of the end of this world is right now. See truth is iron, break chains of bondage, destroy the blindness. As a sun, now you're rising now. Grows darkness, take the minds of people over. Vultures hunt for the blood of young soldiers. Time of the end of this world is right now. See truth in Zion, break chains of bondage, destroy the blindness. As a sun, now you're shining now. That death be a penalty on phony MCs who can't produce a hip-hop degree, cause lacking soul chemicals in their genes. I see images of demons producing semen of false creeds to take my soul, body, mental. So my temple can inhale the wicked ignorance of deadly venoms through heart trembles, through mind control vehicles, and inject they mad drugs in me that's lethal. Now I'm seeing threefold. What's left of toxics, Illuminati used to break the ozone. Your Gentiles die first, cause they penal glands hold no pigmentone. False shepherd throw tricks to kids and they grab them, cause they have no mind that they own. As the gold travels in the farmhouse, they get slaughtered. That's how the FBI did the ghettos, infesting it with drugs. Overseas, round table is diamond smuggling under the directorship of Caesar Rose. South Africa's leopard crows. Lies must be unfold. Souls is incarnated, cause of past lives that are old. 121, this Robert Job. I the Dead Sea Scrolls, manifest a physical form, sworn on children of the corn. Grows darkness, take the minds of people over. Vultures hunt for the blood of young soldiers. Time of the end of this world is right now. Now, see truth is iron, break chains of bondage, destroy the blindness. As a sun, now you're rising now. Grows darkness, take the minds of people over. Vultures hunt for the blood of young soldiers. Time of the end of this world is right now. Now, see truth in Zion, break chains of bondage, destroy the blindness. As a sun, now you're shining now. As a sun, now you're rising now. As a sun, now you're shining now. As a sun, now you're rising now.
Come on now, Genesis. That was a hit. That was a banger.
Right, you know, it kind of sounds kind of scary.
I liked it. That was good. I like that. Gross darkness of all justice. All right. Shout out to Prince Charlandine, aka Mikey Hebrew. Thank you to everybody who joined and everyone who tuned in, and thank you, Genesis, for being here co-hosting this with me, and I'm co-hosting it with you. That was great. Now I can hear your take on it. I'll, let everybody. What do you think? Just to give me your final words.
Well, I think it's interesting when we were talking about the X and the Y, right? I think it's interesting that this whole antediluvian, the esoteric being that, a Elohim aspect of creation, and how it explains a lot, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's all fitting together. It's like kismet. It's like the fate, everything, all of the pieces are falling together. We didn't even plan it, and we're on that same conversation. And it's tying into the whole idea of what we haven't seen. We've only seen the divine masculine, it kind of breaks into like, wait, there's not just this one masculine divine energy. There's a divine feminine. So I like it. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear the rest of it. Definitely, I'm not sure people know about the work that Brother Charlandine is doing. The fact that he's traveling throughout Africa, going to different countries in Africa as an anthropological study, anthropological study. He's actually going to these. He's like talking to the Igbo. He's going to South Africa. He's going to Uganda. He's like traveling to other countries to learn. So it's not like just pulling this out of nowhere. He's talking to people. He's getting the information. So I think that that's something to be, revered.
Yeah, he's always been busy. He's always been studying and trying to better his people, our people. So I'm looking forward to part 3, and I love the energy. Even if you didn't agree, people came in, give him some pushback on what they know and what they study. Shout out to Harwin, King J, and the man who came in. What was it? King of the Earth Earth.
Yeah, King of the World.
Yeah,
Yep.
King of the World.
Was it Earth or something like that?
King of the Earth. It was interesting. All right, so that's it. We're done.
Well, one quick thing is that people are saying that they're not getting the notifications, so we have to figure out what that is.
So glad you said that. What is going on with YouTube? Because, come on, even when we first started, this is the main channel, and it was like 47, and no, it has nothing to do with his presentation. There's only 47 people, so I don't know what YouTube is doing.
People were saying they weren't getting notifications, and I don't even see the HOK's thing on my notification.
That's what Senator said. He didn't see it, so well,
so we have to probably contact YouTube and see what's up.
We're gonna see. You know, yesterday when we did it, once we ended it, it was immediately said 1,000 views, but when we were on there, it was like only 75 people. So I don't know. YouTube, why do you hold us? We're like in like it's like a
purgatory.
Purgatory, something like that. Like YouTube, we got to find, I don't want to say it on YouTube, but you know, there has to be a better way.
It might be the fact that I'm doing the horizontal stream. Maybe that's what it is.
Oh, I don't know, darling.
Are you doing horizontal on yours, or is it only vertical?
No, that's you.
That might be one of the reasons, because maybe if I wouldn't have did vertical, it would have given the notification. So that might
maybe if you would have done the portrait next time. We'll do that tomorrow. Don't just do the vertical. No, do the portrait. All right. Oh, and yes, I know that Venus is the morning star. So thank you to the person who said that. We will talk about this more tomorrow. I'm exhausted. What about you?
Honey, I've been exhausted. I was tired from yesterday's stream.
I know. Let's go. But it's worth it, right?
It is worth it to get the information out to the people. You know, I'm learning a lot that I didn't know before, and I hope that everybody else did as well. And this was a real calm stream. I like, you know, everybody was very respectful, and I appreciate that.
Oh, I know. I didn't want to get. Sometimes your cortisol will be in the through the roof.
Right. High blood pressure be pressuring. You know.
It's like, yeah, YouTube limbo. But it's like, why though? You know, some people, I don't know. We did great. We did great. I think this is Lex Vortex in here. Let me see.
Oh, YouTube said notices that you have to update your app. So I guess that might be something.
Oh, you?
No, that's what Asar Ken second said. So maybe people have to update to get the notifications. Maybe it's some kind of.
I don't know. Senator gets it when he goes live. He gets like, you know, full house. So I was saying. Is that you, Lex Vortex? Lex the Hex Master Official? I think it is. But anyway, peace, everybody.
You know what I think it is? I think it's if we don't do the vertical, because the vertical is more like, what's not the vertical? It's like what's the one that's up and down? The
one on the left that we're looking at. That's the vertical. That's the I don't do that one usually. You have it though.
Yeah, I think if I don't do that one, we probably will get the notifications will go out more because yeah, I don't think you get notifications for vertical, so I think that's probably what happened.
And StreamYard doesn't recommends a portrait, so I think you're right because it's splitting the views too. I think
it is. Yep.
So we found out what it is. See, all right. Now you made me want to play a song. You know I'm gonna have to play a song about this, right?
Yes. We gotta like lighten up the mood because that grows darkness. That sounds like I
love that song.
I love the song too, but honey, that song is heavy.
Yeah, I like it.
You can feel the darkness.
We're gonna do the one that I love, but we never get to hear it. Dang, I know you didn't remove it. Oh heck no. No. Oh, it's here. Here it is. Okay, peace, everybody.
Oh, that's my song.
I know. Shout out Alpha Nation and Revelation X. Peace, everybody.
Head up in a blood clot funeral home. Anchor the AK, Jabari got the chrome. Hector West the Harry sending them home. Regina the alley with a Cuban and a galley. Send you back on Nile Valley with a shot in your toe intellectually. How click the link if your scholarship sloppy. More just want make you cry with the truth. No lie, my youth in my really scored on 21 gun salute for commission. Not a brother, a hustle, a move like All left found the black woman at all like Tulsa and the Yana past sister freedom. I the whole panel know what time for Bible thumping the minute them see me come. Revelation set from here the trendsetter. None of them can mother than Sonetta. None of them can mother than Sonetta. Them got a podcast but saw better.
Coast to coast, we be banging. Coast to coast, we be bringing all this knowledge, we be slanging. In the HOK, we don't do no entertaining.
Speak the truth, speak the facts.
What the niggas just a layman. Better get on one accord. The future can be yours. Ancestors push you more. We gotta go explore the sciences and math. The future's based on class. You bout to catch my wrath. We turning up this track.
In the dark minds of the light.
The dark heart still fight. We gotta make this right. Talk right now. We learn how to stand up and stand proud. No man down. We fam now. House of the country, my clan now.
From here the trendsetter. None of them can mother than Sonetta. None of them can mother than Sonetta. Them got a podcast but saw better.
When I look at you niggas, I see what I'm not. Go take him, a little bit of her, mix it with them, and put them in a pot. You still can't get none like me. It might sound the same, but it's unlikely. One white tee. If I lift it up, you niggas gonna see what it come might be. I thought I told ya. Affirmation, revelation, we some soldiers. Sonetta put this team together, now it's over. We got the weight of the world up on my shoulder. When you get conscious information, hearts turn colder. Now look at these trappers who rapping the same, so stuck in their lane, systemically, chemically. I'm thinking something is wrong with their brain. As long as they paid and for in the chain, I got nothing to say. They in love with the gang. I traded my gang for change, and now that I changed, a few things still say the same.
Frankie are the trendsetter. None of them can mother than Sonetta. None of them can mother than Sonetta. Them got a podcast but saw better.